My beloved child, stop scrolling. Stop running. Stop hiding behind the noise and distractions, because this moment, yes, this moment is not an accident. You didn't just stumble onto this message. Heaven orchestrated this very second so I could reach you. I've waited patiently, not just through days or weeks, but through years of silence, your silence. Through seasons when your heart was too bruised to believe, too numb to feel, too busy to listen. I have watched you build walls, not just around your life, but around your spirit. You've buried your pain under laughter, your questions under distractions, and your brokenness beneath a performance of strength. But I have seen every tear you wiped away before anyone else noticed you were hurting. I've been there in the background, holding my breath with the hope that you would finally turn your face toward mine. When you felt unseen, I was watching. When you felt unheard, I was listening. When the world turned away, I remained right beside you, silent, but never absent. And now, I can't wait any longer. I am breaking through the noise of your world to speak directly into the deepest part of your soul. Because you need to hear this. I have never left you. Not for a second. I know life has hardened you. I know you stopped expecting healing, breakthrough, or even kindness. But I am still here, with love in my eyes and urgency in my voice. I'm not speaking to the world right now, I'm speaking to you. You, whose heart had been stretched thin. You who has been pretending to be okay for too long. You who feels like no one truly sees what you carry. I do. I see it all. And I want you to know that the reason you're hearing this right now is because I've waited for this very second to try one more time, just to talk to you. This is not just a message. This is a divine appointment. This is heaven leaning in. This is eternity interrupting time to say, you are not alone, and I will not give up on you. I am speaking not from a place of judgment but from a heart of relentless, unconditional love. I've seen every fall, every failure, every doubt, and still, I choose you. Still, I call you. Still, I whisper your name in the quiet places where no one else can reach. I am not discouraged by your silence or turned away by your scars. In fact, it's your wounds that draw me closer. I came not for the ones who pretend to have it all together, but for those who know they are barely holding on. That's why I'm speaking now, not because you earned it, but because I love you too much to let you keep drifting further. I've waited through your heartbreak, through your rebellion, through your denial, and now I am here, right in front of you, not with anger but with an open hand. Will you take it? Will you hear me, just this once, without brushing me aside like every other voice? You heard the world talk. You heard fear shout. Now let me speak. Let me remind you that there's still time, still hope, still purpose in your story. This is not just another video. This is the voice of your Savior reaching across eternity, breaking through the static, and calling your name one more time. Will you let me in? Listen carefully, because I don't often speak like this. This is not a casual moment, and what you're hearing is not a routine reminder. This is my voice, pressing into the core of your being, with a depth of love you've never fully understood. I'm not offering comfort alone, I'm offering rescue. Not from others, but from the ache that's been sitting inside you too long. I don't say these words to provoke emotion or to stir your mind, I speak because my heart aches for yours. You matter more to me than the stars I hung or the oceans I shaped. And this right here, right now, is a sacred encounter designed specifically for your soul. You see, I've watched you reach out to people who only gave you pieces of themselves, while I've been waiting to give you all of me. You've been chasing after echoes, and I am the original voice. You've been trying to fill your emptiness with things that will only drain you further. But I am not here to take from you, I am here to fill you, heal you, restore the parts of you that have been shattered by a world that doesn't understand you. You've grown used to pain. You've made peace with sadness. You've built your life around survival instead of joy. And yet, I have not changed my mind about you. I still long to show you what it means to live beyond pain, beyond confusion, beyond constant pretending. I'm not inviting you into a religion. I'm inviting you into a relationship so real, it transforms how you see yourself, your past, and every moment yet to come. This message isn't from someone guessing about your life. This comes from the one who saw it all, from the very beginning. Every unseen moment, every private struggle, every secret disappointment. And still, I say this with everything in me. I want you. I want the parts of you you've hidden. I want the pieces you thought were too ruined to redeem. I want the moments you regret and the dreams you thought you lost. Because I can make it all new. I'm not coming to patch you up. I'm coming to breathe life into what was declared lifeless. This is not the time to harden your heart again. You've done that too often. You've told yourself you'd be fine without healing, that you could carry on by avoiding what's real. But no more. This is the moment where your healing begins, not because you found the strength, but because you finally allowed mine to carry you. I am speaking now, not because I'm desperate, but because my love never quits. I am reaching out for you, one last time, not with desperation, but with divine urgency. You think you've heard everything there is to hear from me, but you haven't heard this. I will fight for your heart until my last call goes silent. And right now, this is my last call. Not because I'm leaving, but because time is moving quickly, and your soul can't afford another delay. You were born for more than numbness. You were designed for more than cycles of doubt and disappointment. And I am the only one who can walk you out of it all, because I know the way. I don't just see your pain, I hold the cure. I don't just know your past, I carry your future. And it begins here, in this message, in this breath, in this invitation. You don't have to understand it all. You don't have to fix everything right now. You only need to respond. With a yes. With a whisper. With a moment of surrender so real that heaven leans closer and wraps its arms around your decision. My child, this isn't just another message, it is my cry. My divine plea. My final invitation. And it has your name written all over it. I've been gentle with you. I've spoken in ways that matched your pace. I've waited through seasons where you gave me no room, no time, no thought. Even then, I was there in your quietest nights, in the heaviness of your mornings, in the places you thought were empty but were filled with my presence. You called them coincidences, timing, chance. But they were me. Every time someone showed up when you needed help, that was me. When you found peace for no reason during a moment that should have crushed you, that was me. When your heart suddenly felt warm in the middle of your loneliness, it wasn't your imagination, it was my whisper saying, I'm here. But I see now that your heart is growing tired, not just from your journey, but from trying to make sense of everything alone. So I won't whisper anymore. I won't leave signs for you to decipher. This moment demands clarity, and I love you too much to let you stay confused. That's why I'm speaking now, clearly, with urgency, not to pressure you, but to rescue you from the endless wondering. You've cried out in frustration, God, why won't you just tell me what you want? This is my response. I want you. All of you. Not just your prayers when you're afraid. Not just your psalms when things go right. I want your fears, your doubts, your anger, your dreams, every part of you, even the ones you think are unworthy. I know what you've done. I know where you've been. And I'm still here. I've never been afraid of your mess. I've never been disappointed in your need. I've never been tired of hearing your name. And now, I will no longer speak in hints. I will not hide behind metaphors or wait for you to decode my movements. This is me, confronting your soul with divine honesty, because time is too short for anything less. I am trying one last time to show you how real I am, how close I've always been, and how much I'm still willing to do for you. I know what you've told yourself, that maybe you're too far gone, or too tired to start again. But starting again is what I do. I specialize in resurrection, not in repairs. I don't patch old lives, I breathe new ones. And yours can begin right here, in this holy moment where the creator of the universe bends low to say, "Come home." You don't need to see a burning bush or hear thunder from the sky. This message is the sign. This voice, reaching past everything you've built to protect yourself, is the miracle. Don't let doubt talk you out of it again. Don't let pain convince you I've been absent. The reason it hurts so deeply is because your heart was never made to be disconnected from mine. That ache you've carried is the echo of separation from the one who formed you. And now, I speak plainly so there is no confusion. I want you back. I want you close. Not for my sake, but for yours. Your soul is starving for a love that doesn't leave, for truth that doesn't shift, for peace that doesn't expire. And all of that is found in me. I'm not a myth, not an idea, not a tradition. I'm the one who watched you take your first breath and has counted every heartbeat since. I don't need your perfection, I want your permission. Let me in. Let me speak louder than the fear, deeper than the shame, stronger than the voices that have haunted your mind for too long. You were made for more than survival, you were made for communion with me. This is why I must speak plainly now, because there's too much on the line for me to whisper anymore. There were moments when I reached for you, and you turned away, not out of hatred, but because the pain made you believe I couldn't possibly still want you. But I did. And I still do. Every time you pulled away, I stayed. Every time you questioned me, I remained steady. You distanced yourself not because you didn't care, but because you were afraid I had already left. You assumed your silence had closed the door permanently. But hear me clearly now. I never left. I didn't retreat when you doubted me. I didn't vanish when you stopped believing. I didn't disappear when you were too tired to pray. I've been here, all along, right outside the door of your heart, not barging in, but patiently waiting for you to notice that I never stopped knocking. I know what it's like to be pushed away by the very ones you love most. I felt it when I carried the cross, when those I came to save mocked me, when the world turned away from the gift that could have set it free. But I endured that so I could be here now, speaking directly to you, even after you've tried to live without me. Your rejection hasn't made me bitter, it's made me even more determined to show you what love really looks like. Love doesn't walk away because it's ignored. Love doesn't disappear when it's misunderstood. Real love waits. Real love stays close even when the door has been slammed 1,000 times. And that's what I am. I am not just your savior. I am the one who never gave up on you. You can keep pretending you're okay without me, but deep down, you know there's a part of your soul that remains untouched, unfulfilled. You've tried to fill it with ambition, with relationships, with distractions, with noise. And still, the ache remains. That's because your heart was never meant to beat without my presence. You were never created to live apart from the one who gave you breathe. So I stand here now, not demanding, not scolding, but pleading. Open the door. Just enough for me to enter. Just enough for light to break through. I don't need it to swing wide. A crack is all I ask for, because even the smallest space is enough for me to begin healing what you thought was permanently broken. I've seen the walls you've built around your trust. I know who hurt you. I know what made you question love in the first place. But I am not like them. I do not love for a moment and leave when it's inconvenient. My love is not temporary. It's not selfish. It's not manipulative. It doesn't play games. It stays, even when it's not welcomed, hoping for the day the door creaks open again. And now, that day has come. This is not just a message, it's a doorbell ringing in the chambers of your spirit. I am on the other side, not waiting to punish, but to restore, to replace every lie with truth, every scar with healing, every fear with peace. You are not too far. You are not too late. You are not beyond reach. You are still my child, and no amount of time or distance can erase that. I'm not keeping score. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm holding out my hand, with eyes full of tears, because I love you enough to try again. You wandered long enough. You battled alone long enough. Come home. Come close. Let me in. Not into your life as an accessory, but into your soul as the one who was meant to dwell there forever. The handle is on your side. All of heaven is watching, waiting, hoping you'll turn it. I'm still here. I always was. And I always will be until you finally say, "Yes, Lord. Come in." You have carried guilt like a shadow, silent, heavy, always present in the corners of your mind. You've tried to silence it with busyness, numb it with entertainment, and bury it with excuses. But guilt doesn't leave just because you stop looking at it. It remains, quietly whispering that you are not enough, that you've gone too far, that you're beyond redemption. I know those whispers well. I hear them every time your heart wonders if I've given up on you. But I am not the author of that voice. Shame doesn't come from me. I don't wound my children with condemnation, I heal them with compassion. I am not standing over you with a list of everything you've done wrong. I'm kneeling beside you with a blueprint for your freedom. I didn't come to highlight your failure, I came to destroy the power it has over you. What's kept you paralyzed isn't what you did, it's what you believe after you did it. You believed you were unworthy. You believed you deserved the silence. You believed that grace had run out. But those are not my thoughts, and they are not my words. My thoughts toward you have always been rooted in love that surpasses your mistakes. I didn't wait for you to get it all right before deciding to pursue you. I chose you at your lowest. I loved you when you weren't looking. I believed in you when you had stopped believing in yourself. This message is not a warning of doom, it's an invitation to escape from what's been slowly destroying your soul. I don't offer escape from consequences, I offer escape from condemnation. What the world labels as disqualified, I call redeemed. What others walk away from, I step closer to. You've been caught in cycles that you couldn't break, habits that turned into prisons, wounds that became walls, thoughts that drowned your identity. But I hold the key, not a temporary fix, a motivational phrase, a permanent release. You don't have to earn your way out of this cage. You only have to let me unlock it. I am not reaching into your life to expose your shame, I'm reaching to pull you out of it. Because shame is not your home. Guilt is not your identity. Regret is not your future. You've spent too long wearing chains you were never meant to carry. I didn't die for you to remain enslaved. I rose so you could rise with me. You say you've fallen too many times. I say grace hasn't expired. You say you failed too often. I say my mercy is still running toward you. I am not disgusted by your mess, I am moved with compassion by your cry. I've come not to embarrass you, but to cover you. Not to punish you, but to protect. You think this is just another message, but this is your lifeline. This is the rescue you didn't know how to ask for. You don't have to climb your way back to me, I came all the way to you. I walked into your darkness so you could find light again. I stepped into your storm so peace could find you. And now I speak, not to guilt trip you, but to guide you out of danger. Because danger doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it looks like comfort. Sometimes it looks like isolation. But it always pulls you further away from who you were created to be. That's why I'm interrupting everything right now to pull you back. Not to where you were, but to where you were always meant to be. You don't have to be strong enough. You just have to be willing. Let go of the lies. Let go of the self-hatred. Let go of the belief that you deserve the silence. I am not silent. I'm speaking now. And what I speak is life. What I offer is freedom. What I extend is hope wrapped in eternal love. I didn't come to shame you, I came to save you. And this moment, it could be the one that changes everything. You've convinced yourself that you can wait. That there's still another day, another season, another chance. But time isn't as slow as it once seemed, is it? The days blur. The months vanish. The years escape without warning. And through it all, you keep telling yourself that eventually, you'll turn around. Eventually, you'll open your heart. Eventually, you'll answer my call. But eventually is not a promise, it's a gamble. And your soul is too precious to bet against eternity. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying it to wake you. Because I can see what you can't. I can see how fragile life truly is. I see the unseen moments that approach like shadows, moments you cannot predict or prepare for. And in my mercy, I am calling out to you now, before those moments arrive. I'm not just speaking for today's peace, I'm speaking for your eternal destiny. Every second that passes is not just a tick on a clock. It's an opportunity either gained or lost. You've grown so used to the routine that you don't realize how close you are to missing what matters most. You don't feel the urgency because the world has numbed you. It keeps telling you there's no rush, that you'll figure it out someday, that you have more important things to do first. But what could ever be more important than the state of your soul? Your eternity doesn't begin when your body stops breathing. It starts the moment your heart chooses to respond to me. And that moment is now. Don't assume tomorrow will give you what today is offering. Grace is fresh now. Mercy is available now. The invitation is open now. I'm not warning you out of frustration, I'm warning you out of love. Because you've been distracted by things that have an expiration date while neglecting the one thing that lasts forever. I see how you pour your energy into things that fade. Your time, your thoughts, your heart, it's all been wrapped around what won't even matter a few years from now. And yet, I stand here, eternal, unchanging, offering something that cannot be lost. Offering something that cannot be shaken. I've seen what happens when people wait too long. I've watched hearts grow colder. I've witnessed souls drift so far that even when I called, they couldn't hear me anymore. I don't want that to happen to you. I'm still close now. You can still hear me. But if you keep postponing, if you keep delaying, if you keep saying, "Not today," the sound of my voice will begin to fade beneath the noise you keep choosing. Don't let it fade. Don't let my whisper become a memory. I am speaking now because I love you too deeply to stay quiet while time slips through your hands. You don't know what the next hour holds. You don't know what news may come, what shift may occur, what loss may take place. But I do. And that's why I'm calling for your heart now, not when you're older, not when things settle down, not when life gets easier. Now. Because now is still yours to give. And when you give me your now, I will guard your tomorrow. I don't demand perfection. I ask for surrender. And surrender doesn't need a future plan, it only needs a present yes. You keep waiting for the right time, but this is the right time. Not because circumstances are perfect, but because I'm present. I am here. Right here. Right now. With eyes full of mercy and arms wide open. Don't walk away thinking you have more time than you do. Time is not your possession, it's a gift. And you don't control how long it lasts. But you do control how you respond in this moment. So, respond. While you can still hear my voice. While your heart is still tender. While your soul is still searching. This moment is holy. This moment is costly. This moment is yours until it isn't. You've been carrying more than your heart was ever meant to hold. You've learned how to walk while burdened, how to smile while aching, how to function while barely breathing inside. You've become an expert at appearing fine while privately crumbling under pressure no one else can see. But I see it. I've always seen it. Not just the surface, the real thing underneath. The nights when sleep didn't come because your thoughts were too loud. The moments when a room full of people still couldn't silence the loneliness inside you. The battles you fight silently so no one worries, no one judges, no one leaves. You've grown used to the heaviness like it's part of you. But it's not. That weight was never meant to be yours. You were never created to carry shame, or to shoulder sorrow without comfort, or to pretend strength while your soul screams for relief. That's why I'm here. Not to observe you struggling, but to lift what had been crushing your spirit for far too long. I see the silent fears, the ones you never speak aloud. The fear of failing. The fear of being too much for others. The fear that your best will never be enough. You weren't made to live afraid. That's why your spirit is so exhausted. You've been walking with burdens I died to remove. You've mistaken endurance for freedom, but real freedom doesn't feel like survival, it feels like peace. I want you to taste that peace, not just someday but now. But I can't force you to hand over what you've gotten used to carrying. You have to trust me enough to release it. And I know that's not easy. When pain becomes familiar, it begins to feel safe. When guilt becomes your identity, you start to believe you deserve it. But I did not design you to be defined by suffering. I did not breathe life into you so you could merely endure. I made you to live. You breathe freely. You walk unchained. That's why I'm asking, gently but firmly, will you let me take it? Will you let me place my hands beneath your burden and lift it off your weary shoulders? You've carried it long enough. The weight of that secret you've kept buried. The regret that lingers no matter how much you try to distract yourself. The lie that says you have to do this alone. I am not offering you a momentary break. I'm offering complete relief. You don't need to fix everything before coming to me. Just come. Just fall. Just release what you've gripped so tightly. You may think surrender is weakness, but it's the most powerful act of trust you can offer. Because when you let go, I step in. I don't just walk beside you, I walk ahead of you, clearing the path, defending your future, healing what your past tried to destroy. You are not a burden. You are not a failure. You are not a disappointment. You are mine. And because you are mine, I will never ask you to carry something alone that I can carry for you. You're not too far gone. You're not too broken. You're just tired, and I understand tired. I know what it means to feel the weight of the world. I carried the cross with your pain in mind. Every step I took toward Calvary was because I knew this moment would come when you would be too tired to keep pretending, and finally ready to hand me what's been breaking you. Let me take it. Lay it down. You don't need to explain it all to me. I already understand it more deeply than you do. You just need to say, "Here, Lord. I can't carry this anymore." And I will answer not with scolding, but with peace, with comfort, with strength, with love that wraps around your weariness and replaces it with rest. You suffered in silence long enough. This is your invitation to rest, truly rest, in the arms that never grow weary. Come to me. Let me carry what you no longer have the strength to hold. I'm ready, I've been ready. You've been surrounded by struggles that no one else fully understands. Every time you felt like no one was helping, like no one was listening, like no one cared, I did. You assumed you were left alone in those hard moments because no one visibly showed up. But I was there. I've never stepped back and watched you suffer. I've stood in front of attacks you never saw coming. I've blocked what the enemy sent your way without you even knowing the danger was near. I didn't need your awareness to act. I only needed my love to move, and it always has. There were moments when you questioned why I didn't intervene the way you expected. But what you call unanswered, I call protected. You wanted escape, but I gave you strength. You asked for immediate change, but I gave you lasting endurance. Not because I was ignoring you, but because I was equipping you. And even while you cried, "Where are you?" I was closer than the fear breathing down your neck. There were battles I stepped into on your behalf when you didn't even have the energy to pray. When all you could do was whisper my name through clenched teeth and tear-stained pillows, I took your whisper as a weapon. I fought with it. I moved with it. Heaven responded, not to the strength of your voice, but to the surrender of your heart. You don't have to be loud to be heard by me. You don't have to be strong to be defended by me. I saw every insult that tried to redefine you. I saw every spiritual attack disguised as disappointment. I saw every person who left you when you needed support the most. And through it all, I stayed. I shielded you from what could have destroyed you completely. I stepped between you and collapse. And I didn't do it for recognition. I did it because I love you more than you can fathom. You were never meant to carry the armor alone. You've tried to fight with your own hands, your own plans, your own logic, and it wore you down, because you were never created to be your own savior. You don't win these battles by figuring everything out. You win by surrendering to the one who already overcame it all. When I walked this earth, I bore pain far greater than anything you faced. Not to compete with your suffering, but to carry it with you now. I took on betrayal so you would never face abandonment alone. I felt deep sorrow so you would have comfort for your grief. I bled for your freedom, not just from sin but from despair. Every drop was a declaration: you will not face this life alone. I fought the enemy that tried to steal your identity. I've gone to war against the lies that said you're not enough, not loved, not worthy. I've battled through the shadows to get to you. And now I stand before you again not only as your savior, but as your defender. You are not weak for needing help. You are not a burden for collapsing under pressure. You're human, and I am God. That is why I came. Not to observe your battles from a distance, but to stand in them with you. Every scar I carry is proof that I am not afraid of pain, and I'm not afraid of yours either. Let me take your place on the front lines. Let me fight what's been overwhelming your mind. Let me silence the voices that keep you up at night. When you let me fight, you don't lose, you find peace. You find strength that doesn't run out. You find rest in the middle of chaos. I never asked you to be the warrior. I only asked you to trust the one who's never lost a battle. I'm still fighting, even now, even in this very moment as you read these words. And if you let me lead, you'll see victory not just around you but within you. You fought long enough. Let me carry you through what's next. My child, I've watched you reach again and again for things that promised relief but left you emptier than before. You've gone to people hoping they would understand the ache inside you, only to realize they were also searching for something they couldn't explain. You've run toward distractions, toward noise, toward instant pleasure, trying to numb the dull sadness you couldn't name. And for a while, it helped, didn't it? The scrolling, the laughter, the conversations that didn't require vulnerability, the relationships built on convenience instead of truth. But then the silence returned. The stillness came back. And in that stillness, the ache grew louder. Because nothing in this world can satisfy what was made for me. You were created with eternity written into the center of your being. That's why temporary things can never bring you permanent comfort. That's why even your happiest moments still carried a trace of emptiness. Because every blessing without me attached to it eventually feels hollow. And I'm not saying that to diminish the good things you've enjoyed. I'm saying it to explain why they could never be enough. Even the purest love from others is limited. Even the best success fades with time. Even your most cherished memories eventually become longings. But what I offer, what I am, never fades, never weakens, never runs dry. My peace doesn't depend on circumstances. My peace is not shaken by diagnosis, not undone by betrayal, not erased by failure. My peace is rooted in something deeper than what the world can touch. It's not a concept. It's a presence. It's me. I've never withheld it from you. I've just waited for you to turn away from the things that couldn't hold you, so you'd finally look toward the one who always could. You've mistaken distraction for comfort. But comfort doesn't leave you more tired. It doesn't fade after the feeling wears off. Real comfort restores. It doesn't cover your wounds with noise. It heals them in silence. It doesn't offer escape. It offers security. And I am the only one who can give you that. You've wandered through seasons of searching, hoping that if you just found the right formula, the right friend, the right fix, the emptiness would disappear. But the emptiness wasn't there to punish you. It was there to guide you home. To me. That ache with the signal. That void with the invitation. Because I knew one day, when you'd tried everything else, you'd come back to the only place your soul could truly breathe. You stood in crowded rooms and still felt unseen. You've heard encouragement and still felt empty. You've had moments where you questioned if anything would ever be enough to truly anchor you. And now I answer, yes, I am enough. Not in theory, not in religion, in reality, in this moment, in this breath. You don't need to earn my peace. You just need to stop running from it. You just need to open your hands and let go of what you thought would heal you. Because nothing this world offers can hold you the way I do. I am not seasonal. I am not conditional. I am not like the others who left when things got hard. I remain. I comfort. I anchor. Come to me, not just when you're broken, but when you're tired of searching. Let me give you a rest that doesn't wear off, a joy that isn't borrowed, a stillness that quiets every storm, not just on the outside, but inside where your real war lives. I know where you've searched. I know what it cost you. And I am not here to scold you for going elsewhere. I'm here to welcome you back. No shame. No Edwin. Just arms wide open, waiting to fill the space that nothing else ever could. I am the peace that holds in every storm. I am the answer you didn't know you needed. And I'm here, ready to give what no one else ever could. Will you finally receive it? You may not believe it, but I was there for every tear. The ones that fell quietly in the dark, when you did have the strength to explain what hurt. The ones that slid down your cheeks in public, even though you tried to keep your composure. The ones you wiped away quickly, thinking no one noticed. I noticed. I always did. I didn't just see them. I felt them. Each one of your tears was sacred to me. Not one of them was wasted. Not one of them disappeared into nothing. They were not forgotten by time or erased by distraction. They were recorded in the heart of your Savior, each one a cry I took seriously. Even when you thought no one understood, I understood perfectly. When others dismissed your struggle or told you to move on, I stayed by your side and whispered, I know. You see, my compassion for you doesn't increase based on how visible your pain is to the world. It flows constantly, deeply, and personally, especially when you suffer in silence. There were days you couldn't explain why you felt so low. Nights when the sadness came out of nowhere and wrapped around you like a heavy blanket. And while others may not have known what you were going through, I did. I saw the grief you tried to carry alone. I saw the disappointment that settled in your chest. I saw the silent prayers you whispered without words. I didn't ignore them. I answered some in ways you couldn't recognize at the time, and others I stored because their fulfillment is still unfolding. Nothing you felt was meaningless to me. Your suffering was never overlooked, never minimized, never dismissed. I never turned away. Not once. Not when you were angry at me. Not when you doubted me. Not even when you thought I was the reason for your pain. I was still holding you. Still wiping your unseen tears. Still keeping your soul from collapsing entirely. You thought your emotions made you weak, but they made you honest. And I treasure honesty. The world teaches you to hold it together, to be strong, to hide the parts that tremble. But I invite you to bring your trembling to me. I never asked you to be unbreakable, only willing. I would rather have a heart that's been shattered and brought to me than one that appears flawless, but has never trusted me with its truth. So many times you've cried, not just out of sadness, but out of exhaustion. You've wept from reviewing, from longing, from feeling like you didn't belong. And still, I stayed close. I never grew tired of your tears. I never thought you were too emotional. I never rolled my eyes at your heartbreak. I entered into it. I stood in the middle of it. Because real love doesn't run when the flood comes. It enters the flood with you and carries you until the waters recede. That's what I've done. Quietly. Faithfully. And truly. And now, I want you to know, you are seen. Your tears matter. Your heart matters. What hurt you matters to me. And while I never promised a life free from pain, I did promise that no pain would be wasted in my hands. I turned tears into testimonies. I turn mourning into songs. I turn what was meant to break you into what strengthened you. So don't be ashamed of how deeply you feel. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. It's proof of your soul's softness, and I can work with that. I can restore that. I can build beauty upon that. Let me continue doing what I've already begun. Let me take every tear you've cried and turn it into purpose. Let me show you that nothing was meaningless. That in the moments you thought you were forgotten, I was the closest I've ever been. Let this be the moment you finally believe. You've never cried alone, not once. You've been wearing names I never gave you. Labels that others stuck on you, some out of ignorance, some out of cruelty, and some out of their own brokenness. You started believing you were a burden, too complicated, not enough, or somehow too much. You were told you had to be stronger, quieter, prettier, smarter, faster, more successful, and somewhere along the way you forgot who you really were underneath it all. But I haven't forgotten. You've been shaped by expectations that were never mine. You've been molded by opinions that never saw the real you. And you've let the voice of the world become louder than my voice, the voice that spoke you into being with purpose, with vision, with love. Let me say this clearly. I never created you to live in comparison, in competition, or in constant questioning of your value. You were never meant to beg for affirmation or shrink in rooms where I designed you to stand tall. I didn't form you to blend in with culture. I set you apart with intention. Before anyone else had a chance to name you, I did. And I called you beloved. I called you chosen. I called you mine. Every fingerprint on your soul is proof of a divine blueprint. I didn't rush through the process of making you. I didn't copy anyone else when I imagined your heart, your mind, your soul. There's no one like you, not by accident, but by design. Your uniqueness isn't a problem to be fixed, it's a masterpiece to be revealed. But you've spent so much time trying to be accepted that you've begun editing yourself, hiding the parts that make you different, apologizing for the passion I put in you, dimming your light because it made others uncomfortable. That was never my will. You were not created to fit into the world's idea of enough. You were created to reflect my image in a way no one else can. Every talent, every quirk, every detail of your personality has a place in my plan. You don't have to trade authenticity for approval. You don't need to compromise your identity just to be included. I never asked you to become what they wanted. I invited you to become who I called you to be. And when I look at you, I don't see flaws, I see potential. I don't see a mess, I see a message. I don't see someone who missed the mark, I see someone whose future still burns brightly in my eyes. You've let failure define you for too long. You've believed that your past disqualified you. But I'm telling you now, your mistakes don't rewrite my design. Your wounds don't cancel your worth. Your scars don't remove your calling. I'm here to remind you of your true name. Not the one life gave you. Not the one pain whispered. But the one heaven sealed into your spirit. Redeemed. Loved. Anointed. Precious. You may have forgotten who you are, but I haven't. And I never will. I created you with intention, and that intention still stands. I didn't make you to be anyone else. I didn't make you to live under shame. I made you to shine with the kind of beauty that only comes from divine origin. So today, I ask you to begin shedding the false identities, the lies that told you you're too broken, too late, too unworthy. Strip them away, one by one, and come back to the truth. You were fearfully and wonderfully made, not just in appearance but in purpose. You were not a mistake. You were not an afterthought. You were not born to simply exist. You were sent. You were chosen. You were placed exactly where you are to become everything I dreamed when I formed you in secret. This world may not always recognize who you are, but I do. And I will keep calling you by your true name until you hear it louder than every lie you've ever believed. Come back to who you are. Come back to who I say you are. Because that's the only identity that will ever bring you peace. Before your first breath, I envisioned you. Before anyone knew your name, I had already spoken your destiny. Not a generic life, not a random existence. I created you with detail, design, and divine strategy. I didn't simply allow you to be born. I chose for you to be born in this time, in this generation, in this moment of history, because there is something I placed within you that the world needs now. You are not here by chance. I shaped you intentionally not to be hidden in the background, not to walk through life bound by guilt or ruled by fear, but to rise in the fullness of who I made you to be. Your life has always had weight in eternity. I didn't call you to just survive day by day. I called you to carry the light of my kingdom into a world that is growing darker by the minute. I entrusted you with influence, not based on popularity, but because your heart was wired to reflect me. Every part of you, your perspective, your voice, your compassion, your boldness is a tool I've molded for divine impact. You've been surrounded by voices telling you to tone it down, to stay safe, to avoid dreaming too big. But I never created you to live in a cage of fear. I designed you to walk in holy confidence, knowing that when I place my purpose inside someone, no obstacle, no failure, and no opposition can destroy what I've ordained. You've spent too long playing small, trying not to offend, trying not to disappoint, trying to make everyone comfortable. But I'm calling you higher now. Not because you're better than others, but because your assignment is urgent. There's something in you that this world can't afford to miss, and only you can carry it the way I intended. This greatness I speak of isn't about fame or status. It's about surrender. It's about walking in the kind of obedience that shakes spiritual ground. It's about doing the hidden things with heaven's authority, about praying when no one sees, loving when it's inconvenient, standing for truth when it costs you something. That's greatness in my kingdom. It doesn't always look impressive to the world, but in heaven, it changes everything. And you were made for this kind of greatness. I didn't design you to live under the shadow of shame. Shame is a counterfeit identity, one the enemy uses to make you question your place in my plan. But I've already settled that question. Your place is secure. Your identity is sealed. Your calling is real. And it's time you stop measuring your worth by your past and start measuring it by my promise. You were never too broken to be chosen. You were never too far gone to be used. I specialize in taking what's overlooked and turning it into something unforgettable. You've believed the lie that your failures canceled your future. But I'm rewriting that narrative. I will use even your missteps as stepping stones. Nothing is wasted in my hands, not the tears, not the pain, not the delays. I'm weaving them all into a tapestry of purpose. And if you let me, I will take your story and breathe life into someone else's through it. That's how much power your life holds, not because of who you are on your own, but because of who you are in me. I never called you to shrink. I never called you to live beneath your design. It's time to rise. Not in arrogance, but in bold humility. Not with pride, but with courage born from knowing whose you are. You are a vessel of my kingdom, a carrier of my truth, a living testament of my redemption. And the world is waiting for the light you carry to shine. So stand up, child. Not because it's easy, but because it's time. Let go of the narratives that tell you you're unworthy, and take hold of the truth that you were made for more. I shaped you with intention, with love, with eternal purpose. Walk in it. There were moments when the darkness was so thick, you couldn't see a way forward. The weight pressed so heavily on your chest that breathing felt like a task. You questioned everything, your future, your worth, even whether life itself was still worth holding on to. And in those moments, when you felt abandoned by everyone and everything, I was right there. You didn't see me because the darkness clouded your vision, but I never left. Not for one breath. Not for one step. You may have thought my silence meant absence, but my silence was actually my nearness, waiting, watching, protecting you when words would have overwhelmed instead of healed. The world may have forgotten you. People may have distanced themselves when your joy faded. But I leaned closer. I sat beside you in rooms where the air was filled with sorrow. I held you when tears soaked your pillow and your hands trembled with the weight of despair. I was not watching from a distance, I was inside your pain with you, feeling every pulse of grief and every wave of fear. Your worst moments did not scare me away. They didn't diminish my love. They didn't taint your value. If anything, they revealed the depths of my commitment to you. Anyone can stay when it's easy, but I stayed when you thought you were unlovable. When you lashed out in frustration, when you questioned my goodness, when you said things you later regretted, I didn't recoil. I didn't punish. I didn't shame you. I simply stayed. And not just stayed, I covered you. While darkness whispered lies into your soul, I was surrounding you with unseen grace. You may never know how many times I shielded you from destruction, how many times I blocked an attack meant to break you. You may never realize how close you came to collapse because I stood between you and the fall. You thought you were surviving on your own, but you were being sustained by my mercy. You thought the strength was yours, but it was mine, flowing through you without your awareness. And even when you turned away, I never turned my face. I never gave up hope in your return. The enemy tried to convince you that your darkness was proof I had walked away, but the truth is, I stepped deeper into it because nothing will make me abandon you. I don't love you because you shine. I love you because you're mine. And even when your light flickers and fades, my love remains constant. I am not fickle like the world. I don't disappear when storms hit. I don't back out when it becomes inconvenient. I am the same yesterday, today, and forever, and my devotion to you is unwavering. Darkness never scared me. In fact, it's often in the deepest night that my light shines the most brilliantly. You thought you were alone, but you were surrounded. You thought I was gone, but I was holding your very breath together. And now I want you to know, just because you went through dark seasons doesn't mean you were distant from me. Often, it's the opposite. You were in the center of my attention. I was closer than the fear, stronger than the sorrow, and more present than the pain. I'm still here, still steady, still loving you with the same intensity I had the moment I formed you. Let go of the lie that says I left when it got hard. Let go of the belief that you walked alone. I was there in the shadows. I was there in the silence. And I'll be there in the sunrise too. The darkness may have lingered, but it never had the final word. I did. And I say to you now, you are not forsaken. You never were. Not even once. I never missed a moment, not the ones when your heart shattered under words that were never supposed to be spoken, not the ones when promises made to you were broken without remorse. I saw the betrayal that blindsided you, the kind that comes from people you trusted, people who said they'd stay, people who swore they loved you. I watched as confusion settled over your mind, not just because of what they did, but because you wondered if it was your fault. You asked yourself if you were the problem, if you deserve it, if you weren't enough to be treated with respect. But I need you to know now, from the depths of my heart to yours, none of it was your fault. You didn't deserve the silence. You didn't invite the abandonment. You didn't earn the rejection. You were simply wounded by people who didn't know how to handle the light inside you. But while others walked away, I stayed. I watched the disappointment sink into your soul like a stone. I saw how you questioned your worth because of someone else's inability to love you properly. I know how betrayal warps your identity. It makes you think you're too broken to be loved again. But you are not broken beyond repair. You are not disposable. You are not the sum of how others mishandled your heart. I was there when you cried alone, when you replayed their words, when you felt invisible. I didn't just observe, I wept with you. I entered that moment beside you, not with judgment, but with holy compassion. When you were about to give up, not just on people, but on yourself, I spoke over you even though you couldn't hear it yet. I whispered, hold on. I'm not finished. This pain will not define you. And it hasn't. You're still here, even if you don't feel strong. You're still breathing, even if you wonder why. You survived what was meant to destroy you, and though you may not realize it yet, my hand is the reason. I didn't prevent every wound, but I preserved your spirit. I didn't stop every blow, but I stood guard over your soul. And now, I want to do more than protect you, I want to restore you. The cracks in your heart are not too deep for me to fill. The places you closed off, vowing never to let anyone close again, are the very places I'm asking to enter. Not to expose your pain, but to redeem it. Not to reopen the wound, but to heal it from the inside out. You were never meant to carry this burden forever. You were never designed to live in fear of being hurt again. I know it's hard to trust after betrayal. I know it feels safer to shut down, to stay guarded, to never love that deeply again. But I made your heart to feel. I made it to beat with courage, not cower in fear. And though people failed you, I never did. I never walked away. I never took their side. I never agreed with their cruel words. I've always seen you for who you truly are: beautiful, worthy, strong, and valuable beyond what this world can measure. And now, I'm inviting you to trade the bitterness for healing. To release the anger, not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve freedom. Don't let their choices continue to imprison your heart. Let me in. Let me untangle the lies they wrapped around your identity. Let me show you that even the ugliest chapters can become holy ground when surrendered to me. You are not what they did to you. You are what I declare over you. And I declare you redeemed, chosen, and rising again. This is not where your story ends, it's where a new chapter begins, with me as your constant, your anchor, your healing. Let's write the chapter together. I've heard your question more times than you've spoken it aloud. It echoes in your thoughts when the news is bad, when plans fall apart, when pain knocks again and you can't figure out why it keeps finding your doorstep. You've wondered if you're cursed or forgotten or being punished. You've asked in silence, why me? Why now? What did I do wrong? But I want to speak clearly to your soul. This isn't about punishment. It's about pursue. I'm not allowing pain to pull you down, I'm allowing it to point you toward me. I know that's hard to hear. I know it may sound harsh at first. But listen deeper. Everything I allow in your life, I allow through the lens of my eternal love. I do not cause the evil in the world. I do not orchestrate the cruelty people choose. But I redeem what the enemy meant for harm. I take brokenness and reshape it into beauty. And sometimes, when your heart has drifted far or settled for lesser things, I allow the shaking to happen not to hurt you, but to waken you. Because there's something I care about far more than your temporary comfort, your eternal closeness to me. You see the surface. I see your soul. You see disappointment. I see the opportunity to draw you into something deeper. You want relief, I want relationship. You want answers, I want your attention. And sometimes, when things are good, you forget how much you need me. It's not that you stop loving me, but your desperation fades, your urgency fades, and slowly, so does your dependence. So when the world begins to tremble beneath your feet, I'm not far away, I'm nearer than ever. I'm using the shaking to uncover what you've buried, to pull your gaze upward, to strip away the noise that drowns out my whisper. I allow the questions so you'll seek me for the answers. I permit the discomfort so you'll find the true comfort that doesn't come from circumstances, but from communion with me. Pain has a way of softening the places in you that grew too calloused. Suffering humbles what pride inflated. Trials realign what distractions pulled off course. And through it all, I'm not distant, I'm actively working, shaping, calling, wooing you back to the place where peace doesn't come from control, but from surrender. You've run to many things when life breaks. You've sought escape through temporary fixes. But nothing has held you like my presence. That's why I keep inviting you back, not just in joy, but in struggle. Because when everything else fails, I remain. When the voices fade and the dust settles, it's my voice that still speaks. And I want you to learn to hear it not just in the fire, but in the quiet. Not just when you're desperate, but when you're still. I didn't allow the storm to destroy you. I allowed it to redirect you. So the next time you wonder, why did this happen? Look again. Look past the confusion. Look past the surface. And you will find me in the middle of it, not explaining every detail but reaching for your hand. Your pain is not pointless when it leads you back to me. Your losses were never intended to crush you, but to remove what could not stay. I am not the author of chaos, but I am the restorer of order. And I'm using even the hard things to draw your heart into alignment with mine. You may not understand now, but one day, you'll see it all clearly. The things you hated the most became the doors that opened you to my presence in the deepest way. This is not cruelty. This is mercy wrapped in mystery. I want your heart. Fully, freely, and forever. And I will pursue it with a love that is relentless even through the trials that bring you back to me. I know how much it's hurt. I've watched you hold the pieces of your heart and wonder why something so sharp, so relentless, was allowed to touch your life. I've seen the way your soul flinches at certain memories, the way you guard yourself from new joy because you're afraid it'll end the same way the last one did. You've asked me if I truly cared, if I could see how heavy it became, if I understood how it felt to be broken in places too deep for words. I do. And I need you to know this. I never sent the pain to punish you. I allowed it to call you back to life. Not the surface kind of life. Not the kind where you simply survive. But the kind of life where your heart beats in rhythm with heaven, where you no longer lie numb, distracted, or disconnected from who I made you to be. I didn't allow the shaking to destroy your foundation. I allowed it to reveal what you had built it on. Not because I'm cruel, but because I want your life to stand, not collapse. And for it to stand, it has to be built on something eternal. You see, pain is one of the few things that breaks through the walls you've constructed. It exposes what's weak. It uncovers what's hidden. It forces you to confront what you've ignored. I don't delight in your tears, but I do rejoice in what they reveal, the cracks where my light can enter. The pain stirred something in you that peace alone could never awaken. It reminded you that you're not invincible, that you need me, that you were never designed to carry it all alone. It shook you out of autopilot. It brought you to your knees, and while it felt like defeat, it was actually the beginning of real surrender. And from surrender, I bring resurrection. You may think that the pain has stolen too much from you, but let me assure you nothing that was taken will compare to what I am preparing. What the pain destroyed, I will rebuild. What it revealed, I will redeem. You are not weaker because you cried, you are wiser because you endured. And I'm using even the darkest moments to bring you into deeper awareness, into holy strength, into clarity that can't be shaken. There are truths that only come in the valley, truths about who I am, who you are, and what truly matters. You've discovered things about yourself in this season that you wouldn't have known in comfort. Your heart is softer now. Your discernment sharper. Your gratitude deeper. And though it's been hard, I've been shaping something eternal within you. You are not the same person who walked into that pain. And that's not failure, that's growth. That's the fruit of being refined, not ruined. I never intended for you to get stuck in sorrow. I intended for sorrow to lead you to awakening. Not to despair, but to a holy destruction, one that calls you into a life of meaning, power, and divine dependence. Don't resent the process. It's producing something beautiful, even if you can't see it yet. Seeds break before they bloom. Gold melts before it's shaped. Clay's pressed before it's formed. And you, my beloved, are being shaped, not wasted. What once made you question your strength is now becoming the testimony of my strength within you. You thought the pain was the end, but it was the doorway, the invitation, the signal that something needed to change. And now here we are on the other side of that cry, standing at the edge of transformation. Let it happen. Let me finish what I started. Don't run from what hurt you, bring it to me. Let me show you the beauty I can build from broken places. You were never meant to be crushed, you were meant to be awakened. And now that you're awake, let's begin again. You may not have realized it, but I've been trying to reach you for so long. Not just once or twice, but again and again, in quiet moments and chaotic ones, in whispered thoughts and sudden stillness, in words spoken through others and in silent tugging at your soul. Every time your heart stirred unexpectedly, that was me. Every time something inside you whispered, "There's more than this," that was me. Every time your mind paused in the middle of distraction to wonder about life, purpose, and eternity, that was my voice, not your imagination. I've never stopped knocking, even when the door stayed closed, even when you ignored the sound, even when you grew tired of hoping. I knocked not out of duty but out of love. And now here I am again. Is time louder? Not because I've grown impatient, but because your time is too precious to waste. You've learned to silence the longing with distractions, to busy yourself until the ache is quiet. But I know the longing still lives inside you. I know the questions you bury beneath your schedule. I know the loneliness that still lingers even in the presence of others. And I'm not knocking because I want something from you. I'm knocking because I have something for you. Something you can't find anywhere else. Something your soul has been craving since before you knew what to call it. I know your hesitation. I know you opened the door before and been let down. People promised things they didn't deliver. You gave your heart to places that didn't protect it. You said yes to invitations that led to more pain. So now, you stand behind the door, cautious, guarded, afraid to risk another open space in your soul. But I am not them. I'm not coming to break what's left, I'm coming to rebuild what was broken. I'm not like the voices that came and went. I am constant, steady. I've stood through every season of your life, waiting patiently for the moment you'd finally hear me, not just with your ears, but with your spirit. And that moment is now. You may wonder why I didn't knock louder before, but I knock according to your readiness, not my urgency. I've always known when your heart would be most tender, when you'd be able to recognize my presence through the noise. And today, in this very moment, the timing is divine. You may feel like this is just a random encounter, but it's not. Heaven orchestrated this second, this message, this breath. I am knocking because something inside you is ready. You're more open than you realize. You're more hungry than you admit. You're more ready than you feel. And my love knows when to knock louder, not to force entry, but to awaken what has been asleep. This isn't about religion. This isn't about checking spiritual boxes. This is about me and you. This is about a relationship that was meant to define your life. You've built connections with others, but none of them were meant to replace the one you were created to have with me. I am the missing piece. I am the voice behind the questions. I am the comfort behind the tears. I'm not knocking with anger. I'm knocking with tears in my eyes and joy in my heart, because every knock is an act of mercy. Every moment I wait is proof of how deeply I care. I will never stop offering my presence. But there comes a time when the knock cannot be delayed, where the moment cannot be postponed. That time is now. I'm asking again, will you open? Not halfway, not cautiously, fully. Let me into every corner, every shadow, every room you've kept locked. I already know what's inside. I'm not afraid of your mess. I'm not deterred by your confusion. I just want to be with you. Close, real, driven. The knock is louder because my love has waited long enough. Please let me in. I want you to understand something so clearly, so deeply, that it becomes unshakable in your heart. I am not here to push you, shame you, or overwhelm you. This moment isn't about forcing a decision out of fear, it's about reaching a soul I cherish more than you know. This isn't about guilt. It's about love, fierce, unstoppable, divine love. I'm not showing up in this moment to corner you, but to carry you, to draw you out of the weight that's been slowly suffocating you, even when you've managed to smile through it, to pull you from the edge, not because you're weak, but because you matter more than you realize. This isn't pressure, it's pursuit. A holy, relentless rescue mission that began long before you ever knew you needed saving. I've watched you tread water in your own strength, just trying to stay afloat. You put on bravery like armor, but underneath, I see the weariness. I know the nights you've collapsed into your own thoughts, wondering why things still feel so heavy. I know how hard you've tried to hold it together. But I also know the breaking point is near, and I'm not waiting for you to fall. I'm coming to catch you before you do. I'm coming, not with demands, but with deliverance. Not to point at your mess, but to walk you out of it. You may not see yourself as someone who needs to be rescued. Maybe you've gotten so used to pain that you stopped believing things can change. But I didn't create you to survive in torment. I created you to live in freedom. I didn't design you to adapt to hopelessness. I designed you to walk in wholeness. And that's why I'm speaking now, not because I need something from you, but because I can't stand to see you suffer when I hold the very freedom your soul is desperate for. You might think you're too far gone. You might think you missed your moment. But you haven't. If you're hearing this now, that means your rescue is already in motion. I don't need you to fix everything. I don't need you to figure it all out. I just need you to respond, to take one step toward me, and you will discover that I've already taken 1,000 toward you. This rescue isn't delayed. It isn't uncertain. It's here. Now. And it has your name written into every part of it. You've believed the lie that help would never come, that no one sees what you're going through. But I see. I know. And more than knowing, I'm acting. I'm intervening not in dramatic flashes, but in precise, tender ways that reach the parts of your soul no one else even knows are hurting. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not too complicated to be rescued. You are the very reason I left heaven to step into time, to carry a cross, to bleed and die and rise again. You weren't an afterthought. You weren't just included, you were the reason. The joy set before me that made every step toward the cross worth it. You. Not just the good parts. All of you. Your wounds. Your questions. Your fears. And right now, in this holy moment, I want you to feel the urgency not as a demand, but as an invitation. A rescue is not a burden. It's a lifeline. And this is yours. I'm coming for you, not just to take you out of the storm, but to walk with you through it, so that it no longer controls your life. I'm coming for the chains you stopped trying to shake off. I'm coming for the ache you stopped talking about. I'm coming for the tears you cry when no one else is watching. I'm not afraid of any of it. I'm not overwhelmed by the weight of your life. I am fully prepared to carry it and carry you because I've already paid the price to bring you back. All I'm asking now is that you let me. Let this be the moment where the rescue becomes real. Let me pull you from the wreckage. Let me hold you. Let me bring you home. The world has convinced you that love is something you have to earn, that you must be spotless before being accepted, that worth is tied to performance. And so, you've taken that lie and projected it onto me, assuming that I'm waiting for you to clean yourself up before I draw near. But I'm not. I never was. I'm not here with a checklist, watching to see if you'll meet every condition. I'm not evaluating you like a judge in the sky. I'm pursuing you like a father who never stopped loving his child, even after the rebellion, the silence, the detours. I don't need perfection, I just want permission. I don't need polish, I just want your yes. The yes that says, I don't know how, but I'm willing. That's all I ever needed. You see, I do my greatest work through hearts that are simply open. I never waited for people to become flawless before I used them. The ones I chose throughout history were never perfect, but they were available. I chose the stutterer to speak to kings. I chose the outcast to lead nations. I chose the doubter to build my church. And I choose you not in spite of your weakness, but because I see what I can do through it. You've been so hard on yourself. So convinced that unless you can get everything right, you have no place in my story. But let me tell you now, my story is full of imperfect people covered by perfect grace. You don't have to earn your way in. You belong because I called you. You're wanted because I made you. You're loved because I am love, and love doesn't wait for perfection before it draws close. You've been measuring your readiness by how much you fixed, but I measure your readiness by how much you're willing to trust. I'm not looking for religious performance. I'm not impressed by your ability to pretend. I'm drawn to honesty, to surrender, to the moment you finally admit, I can't do this without you. That's where everything begins. That's where the real transformation starts. Not in trying harder, but in yielding deeper. I know about the things you're still wrestling with, the thoughts that try to disqualify you, the habits you're ashamed of, the places where you still feel stuck. But I'm not waiting on the other side of those struggles. I'm standing right in the middle of them, holding out my hand, saying, let's walk through this together. I am the potter. You are the clay. Clay doesn't shape itself. It just yields. It just says so. It just lets itself be held. And that's what I'm asking of you. Be moldable. Be open. Be honest with me about where you are, and I will take you somewhere you never imagined you could go. Not because of your strength, but because of mine. I'm not afraid of the process. I'm committed to it. I'm not discouraged by your progress. I celebrate every step. Every moment you choose me over fear. Every time you whisper a prayer instead of walking away. Every act of courage, even if it's trembling. I see it all, and it delights my heart. You think your willingness isn't enough, but that's all I've ever asked for. Because when you give me that, I'll supply the rest. I'll pour strength into your weakness. I'll pour clarity into your confusion. I'll pour courage into your hesitation. You don't have to be everything. You just have to bring everything to me. That's when transformation happens. That's when healing begins. Not through striving, but through surrender. Not through perfection, but through presence, my presence in you. So today, I'm not asking for your resume. I'm asking for your heart. I'm not waiting for perfection, I'm waiting for permission. Will you give it to me? Will you say yes, not to a religion, but to a relationship? Not to performance, but to partnership. I can do more with your weakness surrendered than the world can do with strength unsubmitted. I can write a story with your broken pieces that no human hand could craft. But I can't do it without your willingness. The door only opens from the inside. Let me in. Not because you figured it all out, but because you've decided not to walk this alone anymore. So many believe that finding their way to me is a long, winding journey filled with requirements, rituals, and unreachable standards. They imagine me at the top of some unreachable mountain, waiting for them to earn the right to climb. But that's not who I am. I don't stand at a distance with folded arms. I don't make you prove your worth before I respond. I've never asked for perfection. I've never asked you to perform. All I've ever longed for is your yes. Not a perfect yes. Not a confident yes. Just a real one. Because the moment your heart turns in my direction, the path opens wide. You've been led to believe that coming back to me means fixing your past first. That you must clean up the mess, settle your doubts, and somehow make yourself worthy of return. But I never said that. That's the voice of shame, not the voice of your Savior. I am not a gatekeeper testing your strength. I am the shepherd looking for the one who wandered. I am not watching from a throne with judgment. I'm walking toward you with open arms, waiting to catch the first whisper of surrender. Your return isn't delayed by your past. It's only delayed by your resistance to believe how easy I've made it. Grace doesn't have fine print. Mercy doesn't require a performance. The path back begins when you believe that I still want you, even now, even here, even after everything. You've complicated the return in your mind. You've pictured a long road of trying to earn your place again. But you never lost your place. You only stopped coming to it. And now, all it takes to come home is one honest yes. One moment where you say, Jesus, I want you more than I want control. That's the doorway. That's the turning point. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't have to feel certain. It just needs to be real. And from that yes, I will meet you with more grace than you've ever known. When the prodigal son came home, he didn't have a script. He didn't know what would happen when he returned. He came back dirty, hungry, and unsure, and his father ran. That story wasn't a metaphor. That's my heart. I don't wait for you to finish your apology before I begin running toward you. The moment you move in my direction, I move with more power, more love, and more urgency than you've ever experienced. I'm not hesitant about having you back. I'm eager. I'm ready. I'm watching with anticipation, hoping that today is the day you stop overthinking and simply say, I'm coming home. Don't let your feelings keep you frozen. Feelings lie. They shift like the wind. But my truth is constant. I've never stopped loving you. I've never revoked your invitation. And the path is still wide open. You don't need to map it out. You don't need to fix every emotion. You just need to take one step. The rest I will help you walk. I know where your feet have been. I know the terrain of your wounds. And I know how to lead you gently, without shame, without pressure, into restoration. You don't even need to run, you only need to be willing to walk with me. You've been trying to make the decision perfect, waiting for the right mood, the right confirmation, the right moment. But the most powerful moments rarely come dressed in clarity, they come wrapped in raw honesty. And maybe this is your moment. Maybe this is the second heaven has been holding its breath for the second your heart whispers the yes that changes everything. I won't force it. That's not how love works. But I'm knocking, waiting, calling, and I will never stop until you open. So if you feel unworthy, uncertain, afraid, good. That means your yes is honest. That means your return is real. And that's all I need. Not a cleaned up version of you. Just the one who's ready to let me love you again. The path back is open. The table is still set. The invitation still stands. And all of heaven rejoices over a single word. Yes. I've watched you search for confirmation in so many places. You've looked to the sky, to your circumstances, to the timing of events, to the behavior of others, hoping something would feel like a green light, hoping something would give you the courage to move forward, or the permission to believe that what you're sensing in your heart is real. You've said to yourself, if this happens, I'll know it's God, or if that person says something, then I'll be sure. But deep down, you've been unsure, not because I've been silent, but because you've been afraid to believe it really could be me. So let me speak now with no shadows, no riddles, no metaphors. This is your sign. This moment, these words, this divine interruption, it's not random. It's not by chance. It's not something you stumbled across. It's a response to the longing you've held in your heart for so long. That desire you couldn't explain. That pull you couldn't shake. That restlessness that kept you up at night. That wasn't confusion, it was me. I've been drawing you. I've been surrounding you. I've been stirring you up on the inside because I love you too much to let you stay where you are. You've begged for clarity, not because you doubt me entirely, but because your heart has been wounded by disappointment. You've had moments in the past when you thought you heard me, only for things to fall apart. So now you hesitate, guarding your heart against the possibility of being wrong. I understand that. I don't fault you for it. I know what betrayal does to trust. I know what delayed answers do to faith. But I'm asking you now to trust again, not in everything around you, but in me. I'm not asking you to trust in outcomes, I'm asking you to trust in my presence. And my presence is here, now, wrapping around you even as these words reach your heart. This is the answer you asked for, even if it looks different than you expected. You wanted a dramatic sign, thunder, fire, a sudden shift, but I often choose the quiet moments to make myself known. The gentle tug, the warmth that settles over your soul when truth is spoken. The feeling you have right now, the awareness that this isn't just another message, that something deeper is happening inside you, that is the sign. My sheep know my voice, and you're hearing it now. You don't need to wait for lightning in the sky or someone else's permission. You don't need another door to close or a perfect confirmation to fall into place. I've already been speaking in 100 ways, and now I'm being direct because your heart has been crying out for direction. And I answer those cries not with vague promises, but with unmistakable encounters. This is one of them. Heaven is leaning close. I am speaking clearly. And this is your moment to respond. You've asked me, should I come back to you? And I say yes. You've whispered, are you still with me? And I say always. You've cried, is there still time for me? And I say absolutely. This is your sign that I haven't moved on. I haven't let go, and I haven't changed my mind about you. This is your clarity. I am still calling. I am still waiting. I am still choosing you. Don't wait for another confirmation to believe what your spirit already knows. Don't delay obedience because of fear disguised as caution. A moment has come. I've drawn the line in the sand not to corner you, but to call you forward. Not to pressure you, but to lift you into the next season of your life, one that begins not with control, but with trust. So yes, this is your sign. This is your burning bush. This is your answered prayer. And I'm not asking you to understand everything. I'm asking you to believe that I do. I've seen the end from the beginning. And I know how this all unfolds. And I've placed this moment in front of you with eternity in mind. Now the question is, will you take it? I heard you. The words didn't vanish into space. They weren't ignored or overlooked. You may have whispered them in doubt or cried them out in desperation. You may have spoken them once and buried the hope that they'd ever be acknowledged. But I never miss a single word that comes from a seeking heart. Every honest question is sacred to me, especially the ones that come from the depths of pain, the ones drenched in uncertainty, the ones barely spoken because you weren't sure I'd respond. But I'm responding now. Not with thunder from the skies, not with blinding signs, but with the unmistakable tenderness of my voice reaching into your soul in this very moment. This isn't a coincidence. This is me. You wondered if I'd answer. You questioned whether I'd respond to you. Not someone holy. Not someone with a spiritual platform. Not someone with perfect faith. Just you with your questions, your regrets, your messiness, your confusion. But you're the one I love. You're the one I've waited for. And I'm not just real, I'm near. I'm not just present, I'm speaking. This moment is not manufactured. It's not random. It's not a result of clever words on a screen. This is divine. This is personal. This is me doing what you asked for, even if you'd forgotten you asked. You don't need to strain to hear me. You're already hearing me now. That stirring in your spirit. That ache of recognition in your chest. That sudden quietness within your thoughts where something feels true. That's my presence. I'm not far away. I'm right here, revealing myself not with flash or drama, but with clarity that's deeper than noise. You see, I've never hidden from you. I've only waited for the moment when your heart would be open enough to recognize that I've been speaking all along, in your memories, in your longing, in the people I sent, in the feelings you couldn't explain. And now, I speak without veil. Yes, I am real. Yes, I am here. Yes, I love you. You may have grown skeptical because life didn't unfold the way you hope. You may have watched pain hit people you loved and wondered how a good God could allow it. You may have tried to believe once, only to walk away when nothing seemed to change. I saw all of it. And still, I never turned my face from you. I understood your disappointment. I held space for your questions. I stood by when your faith felt like it was fading. Because I don't walk away from wandering hearts, I walk closer. And now, I'm closer than I've ever been. Not because I just arrived, but because you're finally in a place where you can feel me again. This isn't about religion. It never was. This is about me showing up in your story and letting you know that your cry reached heaven. You didn't need the right words. You didn't need a perfect prayer. You just needed a willing heart, and you gave that the moment you asked me to speak. Now, I'm fulfilling my promise. Ask, and you will receive. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be opened to you. You asked. You saw. You knocked. And now the door stands open, wider than you imagined. You're not being ignored, you're being pursued. So here I am. The answer to your prayer. Not an idea, not a feeling, but a person. The one who knit you together. The one who's been chasing your heart before you even understood what you were missing. I'm not disappointed in you. I'm not frustrated that you doubted. I'm just glad you asked. I've been waiting for that whisper, because it meant your heart was looking again. And when you look for me, truly look, I will always let myself be found. That's my promise. That's my nature. That's my love. And now, it's yours. I want to speak this to you with clarity and with love. Time is not unlimited. The world around you tells you there's always later, always another chance, always more space to figure it out someday. But someday is not a guarantee. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying it because I love you too deeply to let you keep living like there's nothing urgent about your eternity. There is. There will come a moment when the window of invitation is no longer open, not because my love stops, but because choices become permanent. And I don't want you to reach that moment with regret in your heart. That's why I'm speaking now before that day comes. Because today is still a beginning. This is still your hour of grace. The door is wide open right now. You still have the chance to respond. The time of decision is still within reach. This is your moment. You've been waiting for something to change externally before you commit internally. But I tell you this, don't wait for circumstances to force you into a decision that love is already offering freely. Many believe they'll come to me later after success, after comfort, after they've lived a little longer on their terms. But what they fail to see is that without me, they're not really living, they are only surviving. Without me, the clock is ticking on a life that can only satisfy for a moment before it fades. I'm offering you something that won't fade. Something that will still matter when the lights go out, when the noise stops, when you're face to face with eternity. That's why I'm here now, speaking softly but firmly. Choose me before it's too late. My grace has kept you longer than you realize. My mercy has held back the consequences of choices that should have brought greater harm. I have shielded you, waited patiently, sent signs, stirred your spirit, and called you in ways both loud and silent. I have done everything possible to draw your heart, not because I'm desperate, but because you are priceless to me. I will never force your hand. I will never corner you into relationship. But I will always remind you that there is a line in time. There is a day when the offer expires. And I don't want you to approach that day with nothing but what if in your soul. The idea of an open door might feel abstract, but I want you to picture it now. I'm standing at the threshold, hand outstretched, eyes full of compassion, waiting for you to walk into the fullness of life with me. Behind me is everything you've been searching for: rest, purpose, freedom, love, identity, healing, belonging. But I can't drag you through it. I can't walk the steps for you. All I can do is what I've been doing now, inviting. I've removed every obstacle. I've torn down every barrier. I paid every price with my blood to ensure that the door remains open. But the only thing left is your decision. And I can't decide for you. You might feel like you need more time, more confirmation, more strength. But I assure you, you have everything you need to take the step. You don't need all the answers. You don't need every question resolved. You just need honesty, a heart that's willing, a moment of surrender that says, I don't want to miss this chance. Because this right here, right now, is the kind of moment that eternity is made of. I'm not waiting for religion. I'm waiting for relationship. And relationship begins when love is answered with trust. I'm not saying this is your only chance. I'm saying it's the one you have right now. And it's real. And it's holy. And it's personal. So don't push it aside. Don't put it off like it's just another message. This is more than a message, it's me, standing at the door, still knocking, still hoping you'll answer before the door gently begins to close. This moment is still yours, but it won't be yours forever. Choose me now while love still calls your name. You've often looked at your life and wondered, why didn't things go the way I planned? There were doors that closed before you could walk through them. There were relationships that ended suddenly, opportunities that slipped through your fingers, seasons that felt like loss instead of gain. You thought those moments meant failure or rejection, but they were actually mercy in disguise. You only saw what was visible. I saw what was hidden. I saw the motives behind the smiles, the traps wrapped in glitter, the paths that would have taken you further from peace. I stepped in not to punish you, but to preserve you. You were disappointed because you didn't see the danger. What I did. There were choices that felt right to you but were wrapped in destruction. There were people who seemed kind, but their intentions were not pure. There were places you desperately wanted to go that would have stolen your purpose slowly, quietly, and completely. I intervened. Not because I didn't want you to grow, but because I wanted you to grow safely. What looked like denial was actually direction. What felt like rejection was really redirection. I wasn't saying no to punish you, I was saying no to save you. You won't know the full story of what I've kept you from until you stand in eternity and see all that I shielded you from. I've stood between you and danger so many times, routing what was meant to harm you. Car accidents that never happened. Illnesses that never developed. Betrayals that were blocked. Doors that looked good but hid bondage. And you never even knew. That's how deeply I care for you. I don't just respond when you call my name, I protect you even when you don't realize you need it. My love doesn't wait for an invitation to guard what I treasure. And you, my beloved, are my treasure. Sometimes you've asked, where were you, God? But you were asking that in the moments you could see. You never asked it in the moments I protected you without a sign. You didn't ask it when you avoided disaster unknowingly. You didn't ask it when you were delayed for no reason, only to later discover that delay was divine. You didn't ask it when you were pulled out of something you wanted, not realizing it would have broken your spirit. I was there in all those moments too, working behind the scenes, not to withhold good from you, but to keep you available for the right good. You see, I don't just give blessings, I guard futures. I don't just answer prayers, I align destinies. And sometimes, my greatest miracles are the ones that never make the headlines of your memory because they happened without your awareness. You won't find them in journals or testimonies because they never appeared as miracles, they appeared as inconvenience, as loss, as delay. But they were miracles nonetheless. Because what didn't happen mattered. What was avoided protected you. What was blocked preserved your calling. You are still standing, not because everything went right, but because I held you even when everything was hidden. I don't need recognition to be faithful. I don't require gratitude to stay present. I cover you because I love you. I shield you because you matter. I step in, not because you asked me perfectly, but because your life is marked by my grace. And that grace has gone ahead of you, walked beside you, and followed behind you, silently intercepting what was meant to break you. You are still here not by chance, but by my continual, intentional intervention. So when you look back on your life, don't just count the moments when prayers were answered the way you expected. Count the peace that shouldn't have been there. Count the pain that could have been worse. Count the days you got through without knowing how. Those were not coincidences. Those were me protecting, preserving, covering, guiding. I've been defending your story even when you didn't know it was under attack. I've been working behind the scenes so that your future could remain aligned with what I've written for you. And today I want you to trust this. If I kept you then, I will keep you now. My protection has not stopped. My hand has not lifted. And my love is not finished, leading you forward safely, fully, and always on time. I know how it feels when things don't go as planned. You set your heart on a direction, you poured your effort into moving forward, and suddenly everything stopped. It didn't just stall your plans, it shook your confidence. You questioned yourself. You questioned me. You wondered why doors didn't open when you knocked so sincerely. Why some roads seemed promising at first and then vanished without warning. It felt like you were going in circles, like life was moving for everyone but you. But what you called delaying, I called design. What you saw as misdirection, I was actually using as mercy. You prayed for guidance, and I gave it, not always in the form of forward momentum, but in routes, in pauses, in unexpected no's that were filled with unseen yeses. When you stood still longer than you wanted, you thought I was ignoring you. But I was actually guarding you, timing things with more precision than your natural eyes could ever grasp. There are people I kept out of your path. There are positions I prevented you from stepping into. Not because I didn't want you to grow, but because I wanted to grow you first. Some things would have consumed you before they could bless you. Some seasons would have crushed you before you could carry the weight that comes with what you prayed for. You asked me to lead you, but then were confused when my leading didn't look like progress. But my definition of progress is different from the world's. I'm not building a resume with your life, I'm building a character that can host purpose. I'm not rushing to place you in rooms you're not ready for. I'm preparing your soul for assignments that go beyond comfort. And sometimes, that means slowing you down long enough to develop what you cannot rush: wisdom, endurance, compassion, humility. These are things that don't grow in speed. They grow in silence. They grow when the way forward isn't clear, and you're forced to trust me more than you trust your plans. You've asked why it took so long, why you've watched others move ahead while you've been still. But child, I never measure you against someone else's timeline. I measure you against the destiny I've written just for you. And that destiny is not behind schedule, it's perfectly aligned with what I know is best. I'm not late. I'm not lost. I'm not passive. I'm very present in every waiting room, every halted dream, every season that felt like failure but was actually foundation. I'm not just interested in where you're going, I'm deeply involved in how you get there. Because the journey matters. Who you become along the way is just as important as the destination itself. If you arrive too soon, you might have missed what I was shaping in the delay. And so, I slowed things down. I allowed the pause. I ordered the detour. I even closed some doors that would have opened if I hadn't stepped in. Not because you weren't good enough, but because the timing wasn't good for you. What I'm building in you now will sustain you when the promise becomes visible. And one day, you'll look back on what you thought was a setback and you'll see a pattern of divine wisdom stitched through it all. You'll thank me for the no's. You'll praise me for the slow. You'll be grateful for the route that made no sense at the time because it brought you to a place your old self couldn't have carried. So today, stop measuring your life by how fast things move. Measure it by how closely you're walking with me. I don't need you to understand every step. I just need you to trust that every step has meaning. I've never wasted a second of your surrender. I've never delayed something out of cruelty. My hand is in your timeline. My voice is in your pauses. And my love is in every space between where you are and where I'm taking you. You're not behind. You're right on time, my time. And that's the only time that leads to peace. You've only seen part of the story, just the visible, the tangible, the outcomes that left a mark. But there's another side. A side I've kept from your view, not because I wanted to keep you in the dark, but because some protection doesn't need to be seen to be powerful. You think you've lived through hard things, and you have. But if I showed you what didn't reach you, what was dismantled before it could take shape, what was diffused before it touched your doorstep, you'd understand just how deeply my love surrounds you. You've walked through fire. Yes, but there were wildfires I never even let you step near. You've cried over what you lost, but you've been unaware of the destruction I turned away silently. This isn't to make you feel indebted, it's to open your eyes to how fiercely I've fought for you behind the scenes. When you were sleeping, I was standing guard. When you were too weary to pray, I was already answering prayers you didn't know you needed to pray. There were moments you thought were ordinary that were actually the aftermath of divine intervention. Accidents that didn't happen. Attacks that stopped short. Decisions that seemed small but saved your future. Every breath you've taken is covered in my mercy. Every detour you hated was chosen with protection in mind. You only feel the delays, you don't see the disasters I routed around you. You've asked for proof that I'm near, that I care, that I'm involved. But the greatest evidence isn't just in what you have seen, it's in what you haven't. I have concealed so much from you not to hide, but to hold you. I've shielded your soul, guarded your name, preserved your path. Evil doesn't announce itself when it tries to touch you. But I do. I step between you and what was never meant to shape you. I break chains before they tighten. I silence voices before they find your ears. I cut off plans before they mature. And you don't see me do it, because my protection doesn't always make noise, it creates peace instead. And still, even with all the things I've kept from you, I've also walked with you through the battles I did allow. You may wonder why I didn't stop everything, why I didn't remove every hardship. But I never allowed anything without purpose. The storms I permitted because they strengthened your roots. They taught you discernment. They opened your eyes. They grew your spirit. But even in those, I never left your side. You may have felt overwhelmed, but you were never unprotected. Even in the chaos, my covering remained intact. And when you came out of the storm, you didn't even realize that your survival was the echo of my unseen hand. If your eyes were fully opened, you dropped to your knees not out of fear, but out of holy awe. Because you'd see angels dispatched in response to your quiet cries. You'd see how I redirected conversations, halted betrayals, and blocked paths that led to harm. You'd see the moments when you turned left instead of right, not by instinct, but because I whispered to your spirit. You'd realize that your delays were divine appointments and that your discomfort was often your greatest protection. And you'd worship not just because I gave you blessings, but because I kept you from burdens you never had to bear. You are alive right now because I said not today to things that would have broken you. You have peace today because I covered you when you weren't even looking for me. I didn't wait for your perfection to step in, I moved because I love you. Because you matter to me more than you understand. And if you could see all that I've intercepted, you'd never doubt again. You'd see that every single moment of your life has been wrapped in heaven's shield. So don't let what you don't understand make you forget what's true. You are covered. You are defended. You are more protected than you've ever realized. And I will continue day after day, year after year, to shield you from the battles you don't see, while walking with you through the ones you do. Because that's who I am. That's what love does. You've spent so much time wondering if you measure up. You've carried the weight of your past like a silent anchor, convinced that your mistakes disqualify you from anything sacred. You look around and think others are better candidates for my love, more deserving of purpose, more fit for grace. But I don't operate on human standards. I don't choose based on perfection. I don't wait for you to become worthy. I call because I am love, and love doesn't ask for credentials before it moves. I'm not reaching for you because of what you've achieved. I'm reaching for you because your name is written on my heart. Your feelings of unworthiness didn't start yesterday. They were planted long ago, maybe by rejection, by failure, by harsh words spoken over you. Maybe you grew up thinking you had to earn affection. Maybe somewhere along the way, you internalized the lie that love has conditions. That once you mess up, it's over. That once you fall, I turn away. But none of that is true in my kingdom. My love isn't fragile. It doesn't flinch when you stumble. It doesn't weaken when you're unsure. My love is the very reason you can stand again. I never said you had to be enough, I said I am enough for you. I see what you hide from others. I see the cracks you've tried to fill with performance. I see the guilt you've tried to silence with good behavior. I see the doubt you've masked with strength. And still, I'm calling your name not to expose you, but to embrace you. I don't need you to be clean before I come close. I don't require your record to be spotless before I draw near. I come as you are, and I love you too much to let you stay bound to shame. You think you need to fix yourself before you answer me, but I want to do the healing with you, not after you. You are not a project. You are a person I cherish. When I look at you, I don't see failure, I see potential. I don't see ruin, I see redemption. I don't see someone disqualified, I see someone destined for beauty beyond what they can imagine. That's what love does. It doesn't ask you to rise alone, it gets down in the dirt with you, lifts you gently, and walks you into restoration. I'm not coming to you with demands, I'm coming with delight. Because even before you respond, I've already made up my mind about you. I love you. I want you. Not later. Not after. Now. There is nothing you've done that makes you too far gone. No decision. No mistake. No season of rebellion. No pattern of sin. I already saw all of it and I still chose the cross. I already knew every wound and every wrong turn, and I still said, you're worth it. That's what grace is. It's not blind, it's fully aware and still fully committed. I'm not in love with a fantasy version of you. I love you, the real you, the one who wrestles, the one who questions, the one who's tried and failed and tried again. And I'm still calling. This call is not because of your resume, it's because of your relationship with me. It's not about earning. It's about accepting. And I know that accepting love can feel harder than trying to deserve it. But let me carry the weight. Let me show you what it means to be loved without limits. Let me convince you not through words alone, but through the way I stay when others leave. Through the way I whisper to your spirit when you think you're unworthy to even pray. For the way I continue to choose you day after day, even when you hesitate to choose yourself. You are wanted, not as a duty but as a delight. You are being called, not because you've done everything right, but because I've never stopped loving you. This is not a call to perfection, it's a call to presence. To walk with me. To let go of proving and step into peace. I am not asking you to earn a seat at my table. I'm asking you to take the one that's already yours. You've kept a mental list, haven't you? All the moments you wish you could undo. All the things you said, the choices you made, the opportunities you let pass because you didn't feel ready or you were afraid, distracted, overwhelmed. And over time, those moments build a narrative in your mind. I've gone too far. I've messed up too much. I've missed my chance. You've convinced yourself that what could have been is no longer possible. That your story is set in stone. But I need you to hear me now. There's no amount of failure that can cancel what I've written with my hand. You see, I never write in pencil. I don't draft your life hoping you'll get it right the first time. I write in permanent love, in redemption, in mercy that is new every morning. You're not disqualified because of your past, you are still being shaped by my grace. What you call an ending, I see as the beginning of a better chapter. And yes, even the parts you're ashamed of, the chapters you've tried to rip out or hide from view, those too can be used, redeemed, transformed. That's what I do. I'm not intimidated by the ink spills. I know how to make masterpieces out of messy pages. I know you feel like you've wasted time. I know you look at others and wonder how they stayed so consistent, how they made it look so easy, how they've kept climbing while you've stumbled more than you stood. But I don't compare you to anyone. I'm not measuring your life against someone else's progress. I'm walking with you, at your pace, through your path, with your heart in my hands. I care more about your return than I do about your record. I'm not asking for you to go back and fix what you broke. I'm offering you a clean slate where grace becomes the new ink, and I do the writing. There are parts of your journey that may never make sense to you on this side of eternity. You won't always understand why you took certain detours, or why you fell for things that weren't from me. But I've seen the whole timeline. I know what every fall taught you, what every closed door protected you from, and how every season, even the painful ones, has shaped you for the glory to come. Your delays are not the end. Your breakdowns are not permanent. And your missteps do not cancel your destiny. They simply become soil where something holy can grow. I am the God of restoration. I restore not just what was lost, but what was thrown away, forgotten, or abandoned by others and even by you. I can restore years. I can rebuild trust. I can reignite dreams you've buried out of disappointment. I can breathe life into dry bones and awaken hope where you swore nothing could live again. But you must let me have the pen. You must trust me with the page you're afraid to turn. Because the next part is not like the last. The pain doesn't get to have the final word, I do. You've believed that your story was too stained to be beautiful again. But I see your future like a sunrise new every morning, bursting with promise. Your past does not intimidate me. Your weakness doesn't exhaust me. I'm not standing over you with a red pen. I'm sitting beside you, whispering, let's start again. Together. You don't have to relive every mistake to find healing. You just have to release the belief that your mistakes have more power than my mercy. Today can be the moment where the ink shifts, where shame gets replaced by purpose, where fear gets replaced by faith, where regret gets overtaken by redemption. You don't have to write your story alone anymore. I'm offering my hand, my heart, and my authorship. The pages ahead are still blank, still sacred, still full of what you never imagined possible. And yes, I am still willing, still here, still ready. Your story isn't over. It were written with love. Somewhere along the way, you picked up the belief that love must be maintained through performance, that approval is fragile, that if you slip too far or ask too many questions, you'll be disqualified from my affection. So you spent years trying to impress me, praying harder when you feel guilty, working endlessly to prove you're good enough, covering your weaknesses like they're something to hide. But I never asked you to earn what was already given. You were never supposed to chase love that was already running toward you. The moment you were created, my heart was already set on you. I didn't wait for you to get it all right. I love you from the very start. And I love you the same today. Not a diluted version of love. Not conditional affection that changes based on how spiritual you act. My love for you is whole, full, and constant. It doesn't waver on your worst days, and it doesn't increase on your best. You can't manipulate it, diminish it, or outperform it. You can only receive it. But to truly receive it, you have to lay down your attempts to earn it. You have to stop trying to purchase what I already paid for in full. This isn't easy for you, I know. You've been taught that love is something fragile, that it can be taken away, that it depends on behavior, appearance, success. But my love is the opposite. It's not based on what you do, it's based on who I am. I am love. And when I look at you, I don't see someone trying to measure up. I see someone already worth loving, because I made you that way. I see the real you, the one behind the striving, behind the pretending, behind the polished mask you think I require. You've become tired because striving wears the soul thin. And I didn't call you to a life of spiritual exhaustion. I didn't ask you to perform, I invited you to rest. My love doesn't demand your perfection. It asks for your presence, your honesty, your willingness to be known. I know every flaw already, and I'm still here. I know your secrets, and they don't scare me. I know your failures, and they don't change how I see you. In fact, I already factored them in when I chose you. And I chose you anyway. You don't have to keep proving yourself. You don't have to win me over. My love isn't a trophy to be won, it's a shelter to rest in. Come out from behind the mask of performance. Let go of the pressure to be someone you think I'll love more. I already love you now, just as you are, right where you are. There is no version of you more deserving than the one I see before me now. Stop striving. Start receiving. That's the invitation I'm offering. You've tried to read more, do more, fix more, thinking all of it would earn my favor. But what I've been waiting for is your surrender. Not because I need to control you, but because I want to free you. You were never designed to carry the burden of perfection. You were never meant to live a life of trying to impress me. I'm already impressed by the fact that you're still here, still breathing, still open, still searching. I see how hard it's been. And instead of standing far off, I've been right here all along, whispering, "You don't have to try so hard. Just let me love you." This is what I want from you, not more performance, but more permission. Let me love the version of you that thinks it's unworthy. Let me hold the parts you hide. Let me heal the wounds that striving only made deeper. I'm not waiting for a better version of you to show up. I'm waiting for the real you to let me in. No more chasing love you already have. No more working for what's been yours all along. You are already chosen, already seen, already wanted, already loved. So let go of the pressure. Let go of the act. Come close, not because you've earned it, but because you finally believe that you don't have to. You've carried this silent pressure for so long, to be better, stronger, more disciplined, more spiritual. You've set unreachable goals in your heart, believing that if you could just fix all your flaws, silence all your doubts, and hold everything together, then you would finally feel worthy. You've taken on the burden of your own transformation like it's a personal project, believing that change is your job and mine is just to observe from a distance. But that's not how I work. I didn't call you into self-repair. I called you into relationship. I never asked you to fix yourself. I asked you to walk with me. I see how hard you've tried. You've read the books, made the promises, started over again and again, thinking this time will be different. But each time you fall short, you punish yourself. You withdraw. You retreat into shame and disappointment, wondering why you can't get it right. You think discipline equals holiness, that independence equals strength. But the more you strive, the more you isolate your heart from the very help you need. You were never designed to transform alone. Real change doesn't begin with pressure. It begins with presence. My presence. You don't need to pretend in front of me. You don't need to clean yourself up before you come close. That has never been my requirement. I'm not looking for your polished self. I'm inviting your honest self. The one who's tired of cycling through guilt and determination. The one who knows what it's like to feel stuck in habits you hate and emotions you don't understand. You don't have to impress me with growth. I already love you in process. The steps you take, no matter how small, matter to me, not because they prove something, but because they reflect your desire to walk with me. Sanctification was never meant to be a solo effort. Growth happens in my hands, not apart from them. You've been trying to be the sculptor and the clay, but you were made to be shaped, not to shape yourself. You keep asking, why am I still struggling? But you're asking from a place of isolation. Invite me into the struggle, and I'll show you that I'm not frustrated. I'm faithful. I'm not measuring your speed. I'm looking at your heart. And your heart is already leaning toward me, even in your lowest moments. Let me remind you of something holy. The goal was never perfection. The goal has always been connection. When you stumble, I don't step back. I step in. When you fall short, I don't roll my eyes. I reach out. Every time you return to me, even after the same mistake, I celebrate. Every time you confess what you've hidden, I meet you with kindness, not condemnation. You've been afraid that I get tired of your back and forth battles, but I don't grow weary of loving you. My mercy isn't fragile. My patience isn't sure. My love doesn't expire. You've seen transformation as a destination, but I see it as a journey we take together, one step at a time. Sometimes in progress, sometimes in stillness, sometimes in revelation, sometimes in wrestling, but always together, always hand in hand. The greatest breakthroughs in your life won't come from trying harder. They'll come from surrendering deeper, from realizing you were never meant to conquer these things without me, that you don't have to be enough on your own. You only have to let me be everything you cannot. So pause for a moment. Breathe. and let the pressure fall away. Let go of the obsession with results. Come sit with me, not to fix but to be filled. Let me do the work in you. Let me break the patterns you couldn't break. Let me replace the lies you've carried for years. Let me rebuild what shame has torn down. This isn't about proving anything. It's about becoming everything I dreamed for you before your first breath. And I never dreamed you would become it alone. You were made for this journey, but not by yourself. I am the one who completes the work. I am the one who walks beside you. And I will not stop, not until every broken place in you becomes a testimony of grace. So let's keep going. Together. I know how quiet it's been. I know how long you've gone without the answers you've been begging for. You've prayed sincerely, cried honestly, and waited patiently, or at least tried to. And yet, heaven seemed still. No doors opened. No signs confirmed what you hoped for. The silence grew heavier. Doubt crept in like a shadow. You began to wonder if I had forgotten you, if your prayers slipped through the cracks, if your name had faded from my thoughts. But child, I never stopped thinking of you. I never walked away. The silence wasn't absence. It was strategy. What feels like an activity to you has never meant an attention from me. I don't go still when I grow indifferent. I go still when I'm moving in ways too deep for noise. There are times when speaking would interrupt what I'm trying to build. Sometimes silence is my greatest act of mercy, because in those hidden seasons, I'm doing more than you could understand right now. I'm orchestrating things not just for your comfort, but for your growth. I'm aligning details that stretch across timelines and generations. I'm preparing people you haven't even met yet, opportunities you haven't even considered, healing you didn't know you needed. But if I revealed it all too early, you'd move without being ready. Waiting can feel like punishment. But in my hands, waiting is preparation. I don't delay to withhold. I delay to equip. I let the soil sit still before the harvest, not because I don't care, but because I want the fruit to last. And that's what I'm doing in you. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. Every quiet day, every still night, every prayer that felt like it floated unanswered into the sky, I caught every one. I heard you. I've always heard you. Even my silence has been full of intention. You see, your waiting has been sacred, not wasted, not passive. I've been shaping things inside you that are more valuable than anything you could have received on the outside. You've grown stronger than you realize. You've learned to listen beyond emotion. You've discovered how to stay when it would have been easier to run. These things, these invisible roots, are what will hold you when the breakthrough comes. Without them, the weight of what you're asking for might crush you. But with them, you'll stand steady. That's why I didn't rush your answer. That's why I let the silence last longer than you thought you could bear. You haven't been alone in this waiting. I've been sitting beside you the whole time, quiet, yes, but closer than your breath. I've watched every hour pass, counted every tear, and felt every ache you didn't have words to describe. And while you looked around, hoping for something to move, I was looking in, watching the transformation happening in the places no one else could see. You are not the same person you were at the beginning of this way. You are more rooted, more ready, more aware of what truly matters. And that, too, is part of the answer. You asked for something good. I'm preparing something greater. But I won't rush greatness. I love you too much to give you something you can't yet carry. And when the time comes, when everything I've been doing in the background collides with what your heart has been longing for, you'll see it. You'll understand why I didn't answer sooner. You'll see how the silence wasn't a punishment, but a promise in disguise. And your heart will worship in a way it never could have if the answer had come instantly. So take heart, beloved. The silence is not a rejection. It's a pause filled with purpose. I haven't been ignoring you. I've been preparing everything for you, including you for it. And when the silence finally breaks, It will be worth every second you trusted me, even when I said nothing at all. You've been holding so much, haven't you? You wake up with the weight already pressing on your shoulders. Responsibilities, regrets, silent fears, expectations you never asked for but still feel obligated to meet. You've gotten used to this invisible load, walking through life with a smile while your soul quietly strains beneath it. You keep telling yourself, I just have to push through, I just have to hold it together a little longer. But beloved, you were never meant to carry it all. You're strong, yes, but you're not invincible. You were designed to lean. You were created for communion. I didn't form you for isolation. I made you for me. I see how your shoulders slump when no one's looking. I know the tears you blink away when you're in the middle of your day. I hear the way your heart sighs under the pressure of trying to be everything for everyone. And I know the ache you carry. The one that says, if I don't hold it all, it will fall apart. But child, you were never responsible for holding the world together. That's my job. I am not asking you to be your own savior. I am not expecting you to manage what only grace can sustain. Let me carry what's been crushing you. Not because I think you're failing, but because I love you. Because I've seen how long you've been walking through life half buried under burdens you were never supposed to bear. And because I long to give you rest, not just sleep, but deep soul rest. Rest that reaches the parts of you that even a good night's sleep can't touch. Rest that heals your nervous thoughts. Rest that soothes the war in your mind. Rest that reminds your spirit, you're not alone. You've been taught that strength means independence, that admitting you need help is weakness. But I tell you, true strength begins when you surrender, when you release your grip, when you finally say, Jesus, I can't carry this anymore. That's not failure, that's faith, that's trust. And I delight in that moment, because it means your hands are finally empty enough for me to fill. It means your heart is finally soft enough for me to comfort. It means your will is finally quiet enough for me to speak peace. You were never meant to carry your heartbreak alone. I was there the moment it shattered. You were never meant to carry your worry into every tomorrow. I've already walked into those tomorrows ahead of you. You were never meant to hold the weight of everyone else's happiness. That burden is too heavy, and it never belonged to you. I am the one who sustains. I am the one who holds. And I am offering to hold you. Let me hold your exhaustion. Let me carry your confusion. Let me take the heaviness of everything you don't know how to fix. You don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to prove that you're okay. You don't have to wear a smile while your soul quietly aches for relief. Bring me the real you. Bring me the tears, the fatigue, the breathless moments when you're too overwhelmed to even pray. I hear even the groans your spirit makes in silence. And I respond not with judgment, but with arms wide open. This is not weakness. This is worship. This is trust in its most honest form. When you let me carry what you can't, you declare that I am enough. You show the world that you belong to a God who doesn't just sit in the sky, but kneels beside the weary and lifts them into strength they never thought they'd feel again. I do that. I want to do that for you. So, take the pressure off your chest. Take the fear out of your grid. Take the weight from your mind and hand it to me, one thought at a time, one burden at a time. You are not weak for needing me. You are wise for choosing me. And I will carry what you can't, for as long as you let me. Because I never asked you to do this alone. I asked you to do it with me. You've believed that I'll be pleased with you once. Once you get stronger. Once you become more consistent. Once you overcome the things you're still struggling with in secret. You've imagined me waiting at the finish line, arms crossed, silently cheering for your growth, but withholding the fullness of my love until you're a little more like the person you think I want you to be. But child, I'm not at the finish line. I'm walking beside you on the path. I'm with you in the middle of the mess, the doubts, the delays, the becoming. And I love you here, not hypothetically, not conditionally, but fully, right now. This love is not reserved for some better version of you. It's not something I give in pieces as you improve. I'm not waiting for your behavior to reach some invisible standard before I offer my heart. You already have my heart. I saw your beginning. I see your now. And I've already seen the parts of your story you're afraid to even admit to yourself. My love isn't based on surprise, it's based on understanding. I know everything, and I still chose you. You keep measuring yourself by progress. You think, if I can just stop doing that, if I can just start doing this, then I'll be good enough. But I'm not measuring you the way you're measuring yourself. You're focused on performance. I'm focused on presence. You're chasing perfection, I'm after connection. I didn't die for the cleaned up version of you. I gave my life for you, exactly as you were, and I still choose you, even now, in the places you think are too unlovable. You think I flinch at your failure, that I turn away when you fall again. But I don't. I lean in. I come closer. I reach for you when you can't lift your head. I sit with you in the dust. I lift your chin and remind you that I see beyond this moment. I'm not disappointed in your humanity. I created you with it in mind. I knew you'd have days of doubt. I knew you'd take steps backward. But none of that disqualifies you from my affection. You were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to be mine. And being mine means that nothing can separate you from my love. Not your confusion. Not your bad decisions. Not your silence. Not your distance. Not even the parts of you that still feel tangled and unresolved. I'm not asking you to hide those things from me. I'm asking you to let me into them. Let me love you there. Let me touch the parts you think disqualify you and show you they are, in fact, the places where I want to dwell the most. You see, love that only shows up when you've got it all together isn't love at all. It's transaction. But what I offer is relationship. It's not based on your success or your certainty. It's based on my character. I am love, which means my love for you doesn't change because I don't change. Your emotions will rise and fall. Your habits will improve and regress. But I remain the same. And my love remains steady. Not once have I taken it back. Not once have I reconsidered. Not once have I looked at you and thought, maybe they are not worth it after all. Because you were worth it before you did a thing to earn it. So let go of the idea that my affection increases with your performance. Let go of the fear that one misstep can cancel the relationship. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not in love with some distant, perfected version of you. I'm in love with you. The you reading these words right now. The you who's trying. The you who's tired. The you who's still healing. The you who's hoping I will give up. I won't. I never have. I never will. My love is not a reward. It's a foundation. And you don't have to earn what was freely given. Just receive it. Let it wash over you. Let it settle every fear. Let it meet you in the middle of your reality. And let it finally convince your heart that you are loved now, not later. I've watched you endure more than most people know. You've been showing up, getting through, pushing forward, not because it's been easy, but because you did see another option. You've handled responsibilities while carrying silent pain. You've held others up while feeling like you were sinking. You've smiled through heaviness, spoken faith while privately wondering how much longer you could hold on. And while the world has applauded your strength, I've seen the exhaustion behind your eyes. I've seen how much effort it's taken just to keep going. I know you've been surviving, but I never meant for survival to be the only thing you experience. You were made for more than just making it. You were created not just to breathe, but to thrive. But somewhere along the way, survival became your default. You started expecting life to always be hard. You began bracing for the next wave before the last one even ended. And slowly, without even noticing, your heart began to accept that joy wasn't meant for you, that rest was for others, that peace was a momentary break before the next battle. But child, That's not living. That's just enduring. And I came to offer you abundant life, not just moments of relief, but a way of being that transforms everything. I know it's difficult to imagine a life where you don't have to fight for every breath. I know it's hard to picture waking up without the weight of anxiety, or walking through your day without feeling like you're constantly trying to hold everything together. But I didn't design you to carry life that way. I didn't call you into a relationship where struggle is your identity. I called you into freedom, into joy that doesn't depend on your circumstances, into a rhythm of grace that doesn't collapse when things aren't perfect. Living doesn't mean life will be without hardship, but it means hardship doesn't own you anymore. It means the battles don't define your worth. It means you stop constantly waiting for the next disaster and start living as if you are held, because you are. You're not standing on your own. You never were. And now, I'm inviting you to stop living like you're alone in this. I'm here, not just to get you through, but to lift you up into something completely new. A life where peace is more than a moment. It's your foundation. I want to teach you how to breathe again, how to laugh without guilt, how to rest without fear, how to enjoy today without being terrified of tomorrow. I want to give you back your wonder, the childlike trust that lets you smile for no reason, sing without worrying who's listening, dream again without calculating how it might fall apart. I want to show you that hope isn't dangerous, it's necessary. That faith isn't naive, it's powerful. And joy isn't a reward for perfect obedience, it's a gift for you. You've done enough surviving. You've proven your strength. Now let me show you what it means to live with me at the center, not just as your rescue but as your rhythm. Let me teach you the pace of grace, where striving ceases and surrender begins. Let me show you how to walk with peace instead of pressure. Let me replace the edge in your spirit with the ease of knowing I'm in control. This is not just a new chapter, it's a new way of being. You are no longer a person just trying to make it. You are a child of the King, carried, sustained, and cherished. And from this moment forward, you don't have to settle for survival. I'm leading you into life, real, full, lasting life. One step at a time, one breath at a time. And I will walk with you in it, every moment, every mile, until you not only believe it's possible, but begin to feel it rising inside you. Let me bring you from merely existing into truly living. You've spent a lot of your life wondering whether anything truly has meaning, whether the things you've walked through had a purpose, or whether they were just painful chapters in a random story. You stared at seasons that made no sense and asked yourself, why did this happen? What was the point of all this? And in your most honest moments, you've wondered if your life is being written by chance or by chaos. If anyone, anywhere, truly sees the whole picture. But I do. And not only do I see the story, I'm the one writing it. Your life is not being left to chance. Your days are not unfolding without thought. I am not distant from your details. I'm not standing off to the side, observing from afar. I'm intimately involved. Every line, every page, every turning point, I have held the pen. Even when things felt out of control, I was still guiding what the enemy tried to twist. Even when pain shouted louder than truth, I was quietly weaving redemption into what looked like ruin. I don't ignore suffering, I transform it. I don't waste tears. I collect them and use them like ink to mark the places where my grace carried you further than you thought you could go. I know there are parts of your story you would rather erase, memories you don't revisit, pages you wish never got written. But I'm not afraid of your past. I'm not ashamed of what you've been through. I see what happened, and I see what can still come from it. I specialize in taking what others discarded and turning it into something divine. I don't pretend the pain didn't happen. I promise that it will not be the end. Because in my hands, even the chapters that look like endings are just preludes to something new. There are moments coming where you'll look back and realize that what once felt like delay was actually direction. What looked like silence was strategic stillness. What appeared to be the end of a dream was simply a pause while I rewrote the next scene in a way you never expected. You thought the story was falling apart, but I was actually expanding it. You thought you were forgotten, but I was working on the parts you couldn't yet see. Every great story has tension, mystery, even moments of loss. But what makes a story good is what rises from all of that, the triumph that was born in the dark. And that's what I'm writing into you. You are not just surviving a story. You are part of a divine narrative with eternal meaning. You are not background. You are not filler. You are not a side character in someone else's script. You are central to what I am doing in your generation. You were created to be a living letter, a testimony not of perfection, but of redemption. Your scars will become sentences. Your battles will become chapters. Your healing will become the very proof that I was always near. And those who read your life will encounter me through every word. So don't give up when the pages feel heavy. Don't close the book just because this chapter feels unfinished. There is more coming. More beauty, more depth, more purpose. And I will finish what I started. You are not a rough draft. You are a masterpiece in motion. And I never abandon what I begin. My plans for you are not unraveling. They are unfolding. Not rushed. Not random. But perfectly timed. Let me keep writing. Let me surprise you with how I can turn pain into purpose, waiting into wonder, and brokenness into breathtaking testimony. Your story matters, not just to you, but to heaven. And I'm not done. I've barely turned the page. You've placed so much pressure on yourself to understand everything, to have every answer lined up before you take a single step. You've told yourself that if you could just make sense of your circumstances, plan every detail, and know what's coming next, then you'd feel secure enough to move. But I never asked you to have the blueprint. I never required you to map out the whole journey. I simply said, follow me. Not once did I say, understand everything first. Because your peace would come from knowing, it comes from trusting. You've been overwhelmed because you've confused clarity with control. You've prayed for direction but waited until things looked safe, logical, and confirmed before moving forward. And I understand why. You've been hurt before. You stepped out in the past and things didn't unfold the way you hoped. And because of that, you started believing that uncertainty meant danger. But not every unknown is a threat. Sometimes, it's just a doorway into deeper trust. I never intended for you to walk this journey depending on understanding. I intended you to walk depending on me. I'm not asking you to see the whole picture. I'm asking you to believe that I do. You've been asking me to explain what I'm doing. But what if the better gift is presence, not explanation? What if instead of answers, I want to give you assurance, the kind that says, I don't know how, but I know who is with me. Because faith was never supposed to mean figuring everything out. It means walking forward, even when things don't make sense, because you trust the one who's leading. I see you standing at the crossroads, choices ahead of you, questions rising inside of you, and I want you to know that I'm not watching silently. I'm speaking gently, not always with lightning bolts, but with nudges, with peace that settles on a certain direction, with unrest that warns you to pause. And even when you miss my signals, even when you go a different way than I intended, I'm still with you. I never punish your confusion. I guide you through it. I never leave you in your hesitation. I stand beside you until courage rises again. You don't have to be perfect in your discernment to walk in my will. I know your heart. I see your desire to do right, and that alone draws me near. Don't wait to have all the facts lined up. Don't wait for your confidence to be unshakable. Take the step, even if it's small. I will meet you there. I will adjust your path if needed. I am the shepherd. I don't just point to a map and send you off. I walk with you, step by step, breath by breath. You've been afraid that one wrong move will ruin everything. But grace means that even your missteps are covered. I know how to lead you back when you wander. I know how to redirect when you drift. What matters most is not your ability to navigate perfectly, it's your willingness to follow consistently. It's not about mastering the journey, it's about trusting the one who already knows the way. I'm not in love with your perfection. I'm in love with your willingness. I'm not asking you to impress me with your spiritual knowledge. I'm asking you to include me in your everyday, in your wondering, in your attempts to make sense of it all. Walk with me when you don't understand. Talk to me when you feel lost. Invite me into the fog, and I will be your light. So stop waiting for certainty. Let go of the need to have it all figured out. You won't always know the answers. You won't always feel ready. But you're never alone, and that's enough. Just keep walking with me. And I promise, even if the path twists and turns, it will always lead to exactly where you're meant to be. There's a quiet lie that's been sitting in the background of your heart for a long time. It didn't shout. It didn't storm in. It settled in slowly, through disappointment, through pain, through repetition. And somewhere along the way, without even realizing it, you started believing that what you've experienced is who you are. That your identity is tied to what happened to you. That your failures, your trauma, your losses, the words spoken over you, or the seasons you endured have carved the definition of your worth. But today, I need you to hear me. Those things are not who you are. You are not the abandonment you face. You are not the heartbreak you endured. You are not the mistake you made or the opportunity you missed. You are not the names others gave you when they were too broken to speak with love. I don't call you by your wounds. I don't label you with shame. I call you by your name, the one I gave you long before the pain came into the picture. And that name sounds nothing like rejection, or failure, or not enough. That name sounds like redeemed. That name sounds like mine. You've walked through things that shook your soul. I saw it. I never looked away. And while the world tried to reduce you to those moments, defining you by the hardship, labeling you by your lowest point, I was writing those very moments into testimonies. Not to erase them, but to redeem them. What happened to you might be part of your story, but it will never be the final word over your identity. I'm the one who gets the last word, and I say you are beloved. Not because of what you've done, and especially not in spite of it, but because of who you are to me. I don't see you as damaged. I see you as someone who has survived more than anyone knows. I see the strength it took to keep showing up. I see the resilience it took to keep breathing when you felt suffocated by silence. And I don't just see the pain. I see the fight in you, the endurance that grew even in darkness, the faith that flickered but never went out. And that faith, even when it was small, it moved my heart. Because even when you couldn't believe in yourself, you still whispered toward me. And that was enough. You are not your pain. You are not your past. You are not the version of yourself shaped by fear. You are not the echo of someone else's brokenness. You are not unworthy because of what you lacked. And you are not less than because of what you lost. You are a creation of light, a carrier of my spirit, handcrafted by grace and called by name. The world may only see the ashes, but I see the beauty rising from them. The world may only remember your mistakes, but I see the courage it takes to heal. And I'm not standing at a distance. I'm walking with you through every step of remembering who you are. You've let the world name you. You've let circumstances shape your mirror. But now I'm placing my hand gently on your chest, silencing every other voice, and whispering the truth over you again. You are not what happened. You are who I say you are. You are chosen. You are seen. You are valued. You are whole. And no experience, no opinion, no label has the authority to undo what I have declared over your life. So come out from under the weight of misidentification. Let me pull off the names that never belonged on you. Let me strip away the layers of false identity and clothe you again in truth. I don't love you because of your image. I love you because of your essence. And that essence, It is radiant. It is eternal. It is mine. Let this be the day you stop seeing yourself through the lens of what broke you and start seeing yourself through the eyes of the one who healed you. There's a longing you've carried quietly, a sense that there's more to your life than what you've seen so far. You've caught glimpses of it in moments of peace, in waves of inspiration, in silent places where something inside you whispered, you were made for more. But that whisper has been drowned out too many times by fear, by busyness, by voices that told you to settle, to stay safe, to stop dreaming. You've questioned whether you've missed your moment, whether it's too late, whether you've disqualified yourself. But I want you to know, you haven't missed it. You were right on time for what I've called you to do. Before you took your first breath, I wrote purpose into your DNA. It's not something you earn. It's something I planted. It's not out there, waiting to be discovered in some distant place. It's already inside you, waiting to be awakened. You looked for signs. You've tried to figure out the plan. But the plan has always been centered on one truth: you are mine. And because you are mine, your life will matter eternally. Your purpose isn't always loud, and doesn't always come with titles, platforms, or public applause. Sometimes it shows up in unseen faithfulness, in the quiet yes no one hears but me, in the choice to love when it's hard, in the decision to keep believing when nothing seems to change. That too is purpose. Don't limit what I've placed in you by how visible it seems. Heaven sees it all. I see it all. And what you thought was small, I see as sacred. You've asked me, what am I really here for? And I tell you now, you are here to reveal me. Not through perfection, but through surrender. Not through performance, but through presence. The way you carry light in dark places. The way you speak kindness in a harsh world. The way you hold on to hope when others let go. That's purpose. That's eternal. That's holy. I've assigned you to spaces no one else can fill like you. I've put people in your life who will encounter me because they encounter you. And no, you haven't ruined that purpose. I know you've made mistakes. I know you've wandered, doubted, run in circles. But I don't cancel purpose when you take detours. I use them. I weave them into the calling. What looked like delay was actually development. What felt like failure was deep formation. I'm not rushing your journey, because every part of it has been shaping you for the very thing you were born to carry. I am not discouraged by how long it's taken. I'm invested in your becoming, not your speed. You don't have to force open doors. I'll open the right ones when the time is right. You don't have to chase opportunities like you're going to miss out. What's yours is held in my hands. You don't have to compare your timeline to someone else's. Your path is unique, and it's unfolding perfectly under my direction. Trust that. Trust me. Your purpose will not be lost. Even now, it's working its way to the surface. Every gift you carry, every lesson you've learned, every scar you've healed from, I'm using it all. Nothing is wasted. You don't have to know all the details. You just have to stay connected to me. I'm the vine. You're the branch. And the more you abide, the more fruit will grow. Naturally, freely, beautifully. You were never meant to strive your way into purpose. You were made to walk in step with me and watch purpose bloom all around you. So stop disqualifying yourself. Stop thinking you're behind. Your purpose isn't waiting for you in a future you haven't reached. It's already growing inside the heart that still says yes to me, right here and right now. And I will finish what I started in you. I will complete the work. I will reveal everything I've placed in you, at the right time, in the right way, for the glory of my kingdom. You're not lost. You're being led, and I know exactly where we're going. You've carried moments alone that were never meant to be carried without me. You've walked through circumstances where it felt like no one truly saw what you were going through, not the details, not the cost, not the emotional toll. And though others may have offered kind words, few stayed long enough to understand the weight. So you adjusted. You learned to cope. You became quiet in your struggle. You kept walking even when your soul was weary, believing that maybe this is just what life would be. You and your burdens, managing as best you could. But I was never standing off to the side, simply watching your journey unfold. I'm not some distant figure nodding in approval or disappointment from above. I am not your observer. I am your companion. I came to walk it with you, step for step, moment for moment. I don't just meet you in the highs. I kneel with you in the lows. When your path was covered in fog and your feet didn't know which direction to go, I didn't just send light. I became your light. And even when you couldn't see me, I was there. I know how heavy some days have been. I know the responsibilities you carry that no one else sees. I know the pressure that sits just behind your smile. And I know there have been times you've wondered if I'm still here, if I still care, if I still guide, if I still hold the details together. So let me answer that now, not with symbols or signs, but with my words. Yes, I'm still here. I haven't left your side for a moment. When you moved forward unsure, I was guiding. When you froze in fear, I was covering. When you sat down in exhaustion, I was beside you, offering rest. You don't need to pretend you're fine when you're not. I'm not uncomfortable with your honesty. I'm not disappointed in your struggle. I'm not expecting you to be unaffected by the weight of life. I came to share the weight. I came to walk with you, not only in the breakthroughs, but in the in-between. When no one texts back, when the door doesn't open, when your heart feels numb, when your prayers feel dry, I walk there too. Not just to get you out of it, but to be with you in it. There is nowhere your feet can go where I will not be. No moment too dark, no season too quiet, no path too painful. Even if everyone else leaves, I will remain. I don't travel with you because of obligation, I do it out of love. Deep, personal, unshakable love. And even when you don't have the strength to speak to me, I never stop speaking over you. I never stop whispering reminders of your worth. I never stop pointing out beauty in your day, offering comfort in your silence, sending grace in small, quiet ways. So stop walking like you're alone. Stop believing that your journey is yours to manage without support. I am Emmanuel, God with you. Not beside you sometimes. Not close only when things are going well. With you always. This companionship is not temporary. I'm not waiting for you to be more joyful, more spiritual, more productive before I lean close. I am already here. My presence is not a reward. It is a promise. Let me walk with you more intentionally now. Let me be part of the decisions, not just the prayers after the fact. Let me walk with you through your day, in the ordinary, in the unseen, in the overlooked details of your routine. I want to be part of it all, not because I need anything from you, but because I want to share everything with you. This life was never meant to be walked alone. It was meant to be walked with me, moment by moment, in complete closeness. So slow down your steps today. Acknowledge that I'm here. Talk to me as you move through each hour. I'm not just near, I'm involved. And I always will be. Look at you. Still here. After everything. After the nights no one knew about. After the seasons you didn't think you'd survive. After the silent prayers, the unseen tears, the private battles that nearly made you give up. You're still standing. Maybe a little weary, maybe a little scarred, maybe unsure of what tomorrow holds, but you're here. That matters more than you realize. The fact that you're still breathing, still reaching, still searching is not random. It's not luck. It's not accident. It's purpose. It's evidence that my hand never lifted, and my plans have not changed. You've questioned your resilience, but I haven't. I knew what you were made of, because I'm the one who formed you. I've seen you at your strongest and at your most broken, and I've called you precious in both. Not once have I looked at your journey and changed my mind about you. I haven't downgraded your calling. I haven't revoked my promises. I haven't rewritten your destiny based on the difficulties you faced. In fact, I've been using those very trials to deepen the soil, so the roots would hold when the harvest comes. You see failure. I see formation. You see wasted time. I see refinement. You see wondering. I see preparation. Because while the world praises fast success, I've always been invested in the long story, the kind that builds something unshakable inside of you. And that story, it's still unfolding. You're not at the end. You're at a new beginning, a new chapter. And I am the author still holding the pen. What comes next is not dependent on your strength. It's dependent on your surrender. You don't need to muster more effort to prove anything. You just need to keep saying yes, one step, one moment, one breath at a time. I will handle the doors. I will line the timing. I will prepare the places and the people that are already woven into your next season. All I need is your willingness. And you've shown me that again and again, even when you didn't feel strong. That is what faith looks like. That is what I build with. Don't let the enemy convince you that your best days are behind you. Don't let your mistakes whisper that you've missed your moment. As long as there is breath in your lungs, I'm still writing. I'm still leading. I'm still restoring. Some of the greatest chapters of your life haven't even been lived yet. The relationships that will shape you, the breakthroughs that will define you, the impact that will come from your story, they are still ahead. You haven't seen everything I've prepared for you. You haven't reached the fullness of your purpose. There is so much more. And yes, there will still be challenges, still moments that stretch you. But this time, you won't walk through them doubting whether I'm with you. You know. Because we've been through too much together for you to wonder if I'll stay. I've proved that I'm not just your savior, I'm your steady. I'm not just your rescuer, I'm your refuge. I'm not just the beginning, I'm every step after. And I'll be right there through what comes next, just as I've been with you through everything that came before. So lift your head. Shake the dust from your feet. Take a deep breath, not out of fear, but out of hope. Because what I'm building in you is not fragile. It's enduring. What I'm doing through you is not small. It's significant. You have not been left behind. You have not been forgotten. You have not been disqualified. You have been preserved. You didn't come this far to stop here. You've come this far because you were called. Because you were chosen. Because you are deeply loved. And no matter how it's felt, no matter what's come against you, no matter how much time has passed, I'm not finished with you yet. Amen.